1:35 p.m. Washington Nationals take on the Cincinnati Reds. Nationals on Sirius 121, XM 179, and Internet 869. Reds on Internet 846. 1:35 p.m. Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Philadelphia Phillies. Pirates on Sirius 211, XM 178, and Internet 861. Phillies on Internet 860. 1:37 p.m. Toronto Blue Jays.
Major League Baseball play-by-play is now on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. Why do I love calling this game?
Calling this game.
Calling this game.
Calling this game.
Why do I love calling this game? It's because I get a chance to bring some joy into people's lives.
Anything can happen on a baseball field.
We've got a new game. It's perfectly unscripted theater.
Everybody on their feet. Because you never know what you're going to see on a given day.
It is bedlam in the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
There's just something about baseball on the radio.
Something about the way wood hits leather.
A swing and a drive to deep left center.
The way leather hits dirt.
And he made the play. Oh, my.
The way a deep fly ball sounds like it's about to change history.
High fly ball to center field. It's hit pretty well toward the wall. Until the cleats hit the grass, hit the crushed brick, and then nothing but sky and a silent crowd.
That goes high.
Until leather hits leather and 40,000 fans lose their collective minds.
In a perfect symphony of chaos.
He jumped up on top of the wall, balanced himself, and caught it.
The way nothing triumphs a perfectly honest call.
I don't believe what I just saw.
And the way the right voice can make a moment live forever.
Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Outsiders may think this is just two teams.
A ball, a bat, and a microphone. But no.
For over 100 years, this has been the soundtrack of the American pastime.
He struck it out looking. It's over. It's over. The Rangers have won the World Series.
The soundtrack of summer. This is Major League Baseball on the radio.
Right now on SiriusXM.
All rise.
Coming in 5.
Get ready to play.
4.
Get up. Get up.
3.
Can you believe it?
Put your seatbelt on.
Wow.
My goodness.
Major League Baseball play-by-play is now on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app.
You love listening to baseball. You love talking about baseball, and so do we. That's why SiriusXM has the only channel on the radio dedicated to baseball 24/7. It's MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89. News, opinions, passionate baseball talk from former players and GMs, plus interviews with players, managers, and executives, original specials, and much, much, much more. All baseball, every day, on your radio. If you can hear me right now, you've got MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89, and on the SiriusXM app. You love listening to baseball. You love talking about baseball. You love yelling at your buddies about baseball because they love baseball, and so do we. That's why SiriusXM has the only channel on the radio dedicated to baseball 24/7. It's MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89. News, opinions, passionate baseball talk from former players and GMs, plus interviews with players, managers, and executives, and much, much, much more. If you can hear me right now, you've got MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89, and on the SiriusXM app.
I'm Rocco Mediate. Music and golf are coming together on Rolling the Rock with Alice Cooper and me. I'll talk with the rock and roll legend about his career and passion for the game that we all love.
There's a putt, must be 90 feet long, and you make that putt, or walking off and you say, I could never make that putt again in
100 years. PGA Tour Radio is your exclusive home to Rolling the Rock, and you can hear the show anytime with the SiriusXM app.
Wake up! Wake up, everybody!
This is Steve Phillips from the leadoff spot on MLB Network Radio. Join me and former Major League Baseball players Eduardo Perez and Xavier Scruggs as we react to all the latest news and scores across baseball and have plenty of fun along the way.
Steve, you were so right about that.
I don't know if anybody else thinks we're funny, but I think we're funny.
Why are you putting us or we into this?
The leadoff spot, weekdays at 7 a.m. Eastern on MLB Network Radio, Channel 89, and on the SiriusXM app.
Hello, Blue Jay fans. I'm Craig Ballard, host of your daily Locked On Blue Jays podcast. Locked On Blue Jays is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On Blue Jays brings you the latest Blue Jays news and analysis and breaks down all of the action. Locked On Blue Jays is everything a Blue Jays fan could want, all in a 30-minute daily podcast. Download Locked On Blue Jays right now on the SXM app, available with all trials and popular plans, or wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked On Blue Jays.
The best from MLS meet the top players from Mexico's Liga MX in the MLS All-Star Game, and it's on Sirius XM FC.
Ricky Pooch! Brilliant!
North America's brightest soccer stars will be showcasing their skills in Columbus.
Suarez into the 6 and through the leg!
It's MLS versus Liga MX in the 2024 MLS All-Star Game. Live coverage begins Wednesday at 8 Eastern on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Low rounding and heading for second. The throw. In time.
On the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The first Junior Jays Sunday of the second half. With the sun shining and lots of energy at the ballpark, the Blue Jays look to avoid being swept today in the finale against the Tigers. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm Ben Schulman, alongside co-host of At the Letters, Ben Nicholson-Smith. Show Ali is our host. Nick Blackmore is our producer. Andrew Adams and Tom Young are our technical directors. Toronto Blue Jays baseball is brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Alliston and Bolton. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. The Blue Jays trying to get the bats going today against a rookie righty for the Tigers, Cater Montero. For Toronto, veteran Kevin Gausman gets the ball after back-to-back quality starts before the break. Gausman takes the mound next. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, streaming on the Sportsnet app, sportsnet.ca, and across the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
We're two men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think two men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're two men and a truck.
Two men and a truck, the movers who care.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's building center. Visit timbermart.ca.
The biggest names in NASCAR talk are now with Sirius XM.
Hey, this is Denny Hamlin, host of Actions Detrimental, driver of the number 11 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, and co-owner of 2311 Racing. Join me and my co-host Jared Allen every Monday for a recap of each NASCAR race from the driver's seat. We'll break down how my race went and hopefully ending in victory lane.
Hear Actions Detrimental plus every incredible podcast from Dirty Mo Media right now on the SiriusXM app.
And it's gone!
Jays fans, this is John Schneider, and you're listening to Blue Jays Baseball on Sirius XM.
There's the exclamation point for all assembled here at Rogers Center.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
Kind of a bright spot, you know, when you're in a losing effort, but quick, efficient inning from Swanee. Fastball was good. You know, I think the one split for the ground out. He got quick outs with his slider. You know, that's kind of what we're talking about with him being in the zone, so that was encouraging. And then Jimmy kind of looked like himself. 3 strikeouts, good heater, curveball, sweeper, changeup.
Did you get results on Bo Bichette's MRI?
Yeah, it's a moderate calf strain. All we know right now, he's gonna miss multiple weeks, and we'll kind of know more as we go.
That's the recent news from Toronto Blue Jays manager John Schneider. Strong outings and good feelings from Swanson and Garcia. Bichette, as he mentioned, could be out for a couple of weeks at least here as we get into the finale of this series in Toronto. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. It's Blue Jays and Tigers coming up. And while Swanson and Garcia were moral victories yesterday, the Blue Jays looking for a victory in this series now to avoid a sweep.
Yeah, they've had a tough time against the Tigers this season and certainly this weekend. So with Kevin Gausman going up on the mound for his first start of the second half, the Jays will look to get back in that win column. Really, they need to take some strides forward here offensively. We did see some nice steps forward with the pitching staff yesterday with Jimmy Garcia and Eric Swanson returning and some good moments from Yusei Kikuchi, but still wasn't enough to beat the Tigers.
Tigers, meanwhile, are trying to get to 500 today. Let's take a look at the Bet365 standings. At Bet365, you can bet live in-game on game props, totals, and the money line. Download the app and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 19-plus, play responsibly, Ontario only. In the AL East, Baltimore leading the division at 60-38. New York is second, 59-41. Red Sox are next at 53-44. Then the 49-49 Rays. And finally, the Blue Jays, 44-54. On the other side, Detroit fifth in the American League Central at 49-50, but can get back to 500 today with a win and open up today 5 games out of the second wild card spot. They've been on a pretty good run. Ben, who's going to be in the lineup today for A.J. Hinch's team?
Well, it starts at the top of the order with Wencel Perez playing right field, and then Colt Keith will be back in the starting lineup today, batting second and playing second base. After that, it's Justin Henry Malloy. He'll DH and bat third. Riley Green back in the starting lineup as well. He will play center field and bat cleanup. Following that, the Tigers have Carson Kelly catching and batting fifth. Then a newcomer to the lineup, it's Bly Madris playing first base and batting sixth. Zach McKinstry will bat seventh and play left field. Javi Baez will play short and bat eighth. And rounding out the lineup for the Tigers, it's Gio Urshela back at third base.
On the mound for Detroit today will be Cater Montero, the right-handed pitcher and rookie. On the other side, the Blue Jays start Kevin Gausman, and George Springer will lead off and play right field. It's Spencer Horwitz at second base hitting second. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to DH today and bat third, with Justin Turner playing first base and batting fourth. Danny Jansen catches a second straight day and bats fifth. Hitting sixth is the center fielder Dalton Varsho. In left field and batting seventh, Davis Schneider. Ernie Clement back in and at the hot corner, batting eighth. And the shortstop, once again, Leo Jimenez. He will bat ninth. Blue Jays charge out onto the field in their baby blue uniforms. For the Detroit Tigers, it's their road grays. And for the Blue Jays, it's Kevin Gausman walking up the mound, about to make his 20th start of the season. An up-and-down campaign that has his record at 7-8, his earned run average at 4.5. He struck out a batter an inning in 104 innings, walked 27. It has been bumpy, but recently some of the results have been positive for Gausman.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Gausman started the season so slowly, and I think that impacted his entire first half. But certainly still a frontline pitcher, someone who can work through a lineup, certainly a lineup like the Detroit Tigers that has been well below average when it comes to scoring runs. So if the fastball is on, if the splitter is moving the way it can, he certainly has the ways to get swing and miss and to be effective deep into a game.
Last start for Gausman, he went very deep, 7 innings in the home of his former ball club, the San Francisco Giants. Gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs, didn't walk a batter, and struck out 3 in that ball game. He tries to get going here in the first inning, which is brought to you by Armstrong Bird Food. Bring nature to your backyard with Armstrong, feeding Blue Jays since 1986. Visit ArmstrongBirdFood.com. Home plate umpire Jeremy Riggs puts up one finger to signal that there'll only be one more warm-up pitch. He's joined at first base by umpire Corey Blazer, the crew chief, Todd Titchener at second, and Nestor Ceja at third. Riggs in front of the plate, wiping off home plate as Wencel Perez, the switch hitter, comes up and taps the shin guard of Danny Jansen. Perez, the switch hitter, now stepping into the box and looking out at Kevin Gausman, who is standing just behind the hill. Sunny skies in downtown Toronto. A Junior Jays Sunday in a series finale against the Tigers. Gausman flips the ball out of his glove into his bare hand, kicks the hill, and stretches his arms out before stepping onto the rubber. 6'2" righty brings the ball into his glove near his belt, kicks, and fires home. First pitch hit in the air, right field. Springer going back at the track, at the wall, leaps, and makes the catch. One down.
Well, that was a little bit of an adventure. One pitch into the ball game. Kevin Gausman throws a fastball 94 miles an hour. Perez liked it, and he made some great contact, but what a nice catch by George Springer right up against the chain link fence portion of that wall.
It is 1 pitch, 1 out for Gausman. Time of the first pitch, 1:39 Eastern. 26 degrees, mostly sunny here in Toronto. Some puffy clouds off to the left field side of Rogers Center. First pitch to Colt Keith, strike one. Yeah, Perez definitely got a lot of that baseball out to right field. Hit it 350 feet. Next pitch is lined up the middle into center field, a base hit. First splitter that Gausman threw of the day, and Keith jumps all over it for a 1-out single.
Some pretty comfortable looking swings from the Tigers here early on.
That Perez flyout would have been a homer in one ballpark in Major League Baseball. Can you guess which one?
I'm tempted to guess Comerica.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not. I'll give you that.
Yankee Stadium.
You are absolutely correct. Yankee Stadium, because it was hit to right field where it's pretty shallow there at Yankee Stadium. Runner on first, 1 out. Justin Henry Malloy up. First pitch is hit in the air. Medium depth, maybe backing up toward the track. Left center field. Dalton Varsho calls for it and makes the catch. 2 down.
The Tigers are swinging.
They are.
And they're making contact against Kevin Gausman early on, but so far, relatively little damage.
Fly out to the wall in right field and to about 10 feet in front of the track in left center field, plus a shingle in the middle there. Has 2 outs now for Detroit in the top of the first, and Colt Keith on first base with Riley Green up, the dangerous left-handed hitter. The pitch. Low, ball 1. A.J. Hinch has put everyone who can hit left into this lineup today. The switch hitter Perez, and then 4 left-handed hitters, including Green and Keith, who's on first after a single. 1-0. Low, 2 balls and no strikes. Keith, though, got the day off, or pardon me, Green got the day off yesterday, but he's going to play most days. The Tigers leader in batting average, doubles, triples, home runs, RBIs, and walks. 2-0. Low, 3 balls and no strikes.
Yeah, he's really become the core offensive player for the Tigers after being selected 5th overall. He's got great plate discipline to go along with the power that he's showing off.
3-0 pitch. Outside, ball 4. A 4-pitch walk, the 50th base on balls this season for Riley Green, and there are runners on first and second with 2 outs. Just for context, the Blue Jays leader in walks, total walks, is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with 40 walks. Green has 10 more than Guerrero. Still 2 down. The catcher Carson Kelly coming up, but before that, Blue Jays catcher Danny Jansen out in front of the plate, going to the pitch comm to give the defense an idea of where they would go on a double steal attempt. Jansen now back in the crouch, and the right-handed hitting catcher Kelly taps the plate once and looks out at Kevin Gausman. Right-hander staring at second base. Now turns home the pitch. Popped up behind the plate and back into the seats. Foul ball, 0-1. Looks like the sun might be a factor today. Danny Jansen turned around and had his throwing hand up, kind of shielding his eyes from the sun.
Yeah, it was overcast earlier this morning, but the sun has really come out here, so not a lot of shadows to provide any cover for these players right now.
Another very nice day, though, in Toronto. Another big crowd here. It was over 38,000 yesterday, over 39 the day before, and it looks pretty similar today. Turn and throw back to second. They got him! Colt Keith is picked off second base by Kevin Gausman. Spencer Horwitz snuck in there and applied the tag, and that is going to do it for the top of the first inning. Loud contact, a single, and a walk. Gausman is waiting a moment just in case the Tigers want to challenge this, and they will not. So we go to the bottom of the first in a scoreless ball game. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
If you're looking for a fun day, did you know the day before Monday? Junior J Sunday. You can paint your face, come and meet Ace and run base to base. On Junior J Sunday. So many things to do. You can bring your crew and even mom and dad too. Junior J Sunday.
Sundays are for Junior Jays. Get to the ballpark early to enjoy outdoor activities before continuing the fun inside while you cheer on the Blue Jays.
If you're feeling the song, grab your dad or mom, visit BlueJays.com. Junior J Sunday.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Fastball cracked to center field, to the wall, to the track. It's gone.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome to the Timbermark broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Bottom of the first inning, scoreless game, Blue Jays and Tigers. Rookie righty Cater Montero starting for Detroit. He winds and delivers to George Springer. Check swing, pitch was high, 1-0. Sixth appearance of the year, fifth start for the righty Montero at the major league level. 1-2 with a mid-5s ERA. 1-0. Hit foul by Springer, 1-1. 23 strikeouts to 10 walks in 26 and a third innings. Had a spot start as part of a doubleheader earlier in the year and now has been up for a string of appearances in a row. Next offering to Springer is hit back foul, 1-2.
Looks like he's taken over some of those innings that Kenta Maeda has vacated in that starting rotation.
One-two pitch. Outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And Montero's been really efficient in a couple of those outings, pitching into the 7th inning, needing only 80 pitches once to get into the 7th inning and only 73 pitches the following time.
2-2. Check swing. High fastball at 97. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
So when he's on, strike thrower and certainly attacking the zone and challenging hitters.
24-year-old pitcher has a 4-pitch mix. 4-seamer, slider, curve, and changeup. 3-2 count to Springer. The wind in the offering. Hit well. Left field. McKinstry back. At the track. Looking up. See you later. Another leadoff home run for George Springer. His 58th career. And it's 1-0 Blue Jays.
Well, that's the vintage George Springer swing, and that's exactly what the Blue Jays have missed from him at times this year, but lately he's been giving them all kinds of power, really looking like the vintage version of George Springer, and part of that package is the leadoff home runs just like that.
So 1-0 Blue Jays. This, the first Blue Jay lead of the series, and Spencer Horwitz takes strike 1. Nobody out, nobody on. Bottom of the first, the pitch to Horwitz. Outside. By the way, that 58th leadoff home run, he's second all time. Ricky Henderson's got a potentially uncatchable 81 leadoff home runs in his career. 1-1. Fouled off to the left, 1-2. But for Springer, Mookie Betts is creeping behind. He's at 52. So now creates a little bit more distance again. Horwitz will ask for time and take a step out of the box. Montero winds right on left pitch. Is bounced foul off of the foot of Horwitz, who skips out of the dirt circle toward the third base dugout. I think that actually hit his back foot, his back left foot. Jeremy Riggs, the home plate umpire, is going to dust off the plate to give Horwitz a second here to make sure he can walk that one out.
We talked about this a couple days ago, just with Springer's increased effectiveness against fastballs. And once again, this home run coming off a fastball, encouraging for the Blue Jays to see that progress.
1-2 again. For Springer, that's his 12th home run of the year, 38th RBI. 2-2. High and outside, full count again. George Springer has moved into sole possession of second place on the Blue Jays in home runs. Was tied with Dalton Varsho, but now it goes Guerrero, Springer, Varsho. 3-2. Horwitz fouls it back.
Vladdy on a home run binge. Homers in 3 straight games. That's a great sign for the Blue Jays. I mean, he's been productive all season, but the home runs are always a good thing when it comes to Vlad Jr.
3-2. Hit well center field. On the run, Green toward right center. Dives and makes the catch. What a play, Riley Green. That looked like it was getting down almost for certain. But Green jumps into the gap and makes the play. 1 out.
From here, it seemed like Green was expecting that ball to travel further than it actually did. So at the last minute, he had to shift from just moving side to side and come in to get that ball. But he made the adjustment very well and made sure that that ball didn't get down.
So 1 out now, and here's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 1-0 Blue Jays, bottom of the first. Vlad takes a first pitch strike with a fastball, 0-1. Kader Montero trying to settle in here in his 5th career start. His 0-1. Foul back, 0-2. Montero, a 2016 international signing by the Tigers out of Venezuela. Pitched in the Dominican Summer League rookie ball for a couple years. Came over to the United States in 2019. Swing and a miss by Guerrero on the 0-2, and Montero strikes him out on 3 pitches, finishing him with a slider. 2 down here in the bottom of the first. For Montero, though, being up at the majors this year pretty recently would not have seemed very realistic. Here's Justin Turner, the pitch. Strike 1. He started last season at high A, where he had pitched all of the season prior, but advanced all the way from high A to triple A last season. Started this year at triple A and now at the majors. 0-1 pitch is hit off the handle to center field. Green pauses, now darts in and makes the catch to end the inning. A leadoff home run by George Springer has the Blue Jays on the board. 1-0 Toronto leads as we go to the second. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Let the games begin.
On SiriusXM, you get all the sports play-by-play you want and all the live sports talk you need. It's always a home game when you listen to the NFL, NHL, NBA, and MLB on the all-new SiriusXM app.
How good is that?
We fuel your fandom with NASCAR, the biggest college games, PGA, and soccer. And when news breaks, hear instant reaction.
We got a big developing story out of Cincinnati.
The all-new SiriusXM app. Everything a sports fan needs, all in one place.
Are you regretting eating that gas station hot dog? Yeah, we know. We've been there too.
This is a message for baseball fans like you. Did you know that you get a channel that's talking baseball 24/7 as part of your SiriusXM subscription?
What?
Our lineup includes shows hosted by former big leaguers and executives. Plus, you'll hear from 17 managers each week. MLB Network Radio is on SiriusXM Channel 89, or just search MLB Network Radio on the SXM app. SiriusXM Sports. We're more than just a game.
The Busted Open podcast is now available on YouTube. This is Dave LaGreca, host of Busted Open, the #1 pro wrestling show on the planet. You can now watch and listen to the award-winning Busted Open podcast every single day on YouTube. Our best interviews, behind-the-scenes access, and some of our best content from the past. All available right now when you go to youtube.com/@BustedOpenPodcast. Subscribe right now.
24/7, 365 coverage of all things NASCAR. All things NASCAR happens exclusively on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
Welcome to the second inning, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app for today's baseball odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 19 plus, play responsibly. Ontario only. 1-0 Blue Jays, top of the second. First pitch of the inning goes to Carson Kelly, and it's strike one. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Gausman faces Kelly again after Kelly was up to end the first when Gausman picked off Colt Keith. 0-1 pitch in there. That was the rare slider from Gausman. It's 0-2. Kelly, Bly Madris, and Zach McKinstry to hit this inning for the Detroit Tigers. The righty Gausman bouncing, now kicks and delivers, and misses low. Kelly taps the plate once. The catcher batting .243 this year, 7 homers. 1-2. Swing and a pop-up, back of second base. Horwitz calling for it. Onto the center field turf, makes the catch. 1 out.
Kelly looked to be late on that fastball, just fighting it off, and he could barely get the bat on it. So a weak pop-up and a first out for Kevin Gausman here in the second inning.
That fastball, 94 miles an hour from Gausman. Which has been around his average, maybe a little bit higher than his average this year, which has been 93 point something. Here's 1 out, and the left-handed hitting Bly Madris makes his season debut here as he swings and chops the first pitch to the first base side of the mound. Fielded by Gausman. He'll tag Madris on the way by. 2 down.
Nice play by Kevin Gausman right there. He's not necessarily known for his fielding in the same way that Yusei Kikuchi or Jose Barrios would be, but he played that one perfectly and just ran it right over to Madris to make that out unassisted.
After a bit of a bumpy first inning, warning track fly ball on the first pitch, a hit and a walk. Early returns on the top of the second have been very good for Kevin Gausman. 2 outs, nobody on.
And just 14 pitches.
His pitch to Zach McKinstry is popped up, back of second. Coming in, Dalton Varsho, the center fielder, will make the call and the catch to end the inning. Gausman uses only 6 pitches in the second inning to set down the Tigers in order. We go to the bottom of the second with the Blue Jays up 1-0. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Carnival is at the core of Toronto culture. Stand out in the crowd with your Blue Jays neon hat giveaway. The colors, the music, the heat, the vibes.
I don't know who's having more fun, the players or the fans.
Be at Rogers Center as the Blue Jays celebrate Caribbean Carnival and create core memories of summer in the city.
Everybody's feeling good right now.
Arrive early on Friday, July 26th, and claim your Blue Jays neon hat. Blue Jays Caribbean Carnival. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
We're 2 men in a truck, the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikeys accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're 2 men in a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Double's gone! 2-run shot, Kevin Kiermaier.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Bottom of the second inning in downtown Toronto, 1-0. The Blue Jays lead the Tigers. Danny Jansen leading off. The pitch from Cater Montero. Outside, ball 1. Hope your Sunday's going well. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Today's actually Super Sunday for Jays Care, giving away $500 travel gifts every 30 minutes. Jansen powers the 1-0 pitch to center field, but it's caught by Riley Green for the first out.
Now batting, number 25, Dalton Varsho.
Let's welcome our future announcer, presented by Rogers, 9-year-old Natalie from Woodstock, Ontario. Here's Dalton Varsho with 1 out. Right on left, the pitch from Cater Montero. Strike 1. Mentioned Super Sunday, so $500 travel gifts from Jays Care every 30 minutes until 4:30 Eastern. You can book your next getaway right now as Varsho fouls off the 0-1 to make it 0-2. Plus, you're obviously in the running to win the grand prize jackpot, which right now is over $260,000 and still growing. Visit bluejays.com/5050 to get your tickets from Ontario or Nova Scotia. The wind and the 0-2. Varsho hits it well, right center field. Racing under it when Sil Perez comes in and snatches it for out number 2.
Really hard hit ball by Dalton Varsho.
Number 36, Davis Schneider.
Again, let's welcome our future announcer, presented by Rogers, 9-year-old Natalie from Woodstock, Ontario.
And a good read by Perez on that ball. He made a quick jump, darted right over there to catch that ball before it could fall in the gap.
Here's the pitch to Davis Schneider, down and away, ball 1. Perez, I believe I had mentioned this in game 1 of the series. Perez actually primarily a middle infielder in his time in the minor leagues, but has played outfield in the majors. 1-0 pitch is hit in the air by Schneider, very high, not super deep, to left center. Green stretches his arms out to call for it and makes the catch to end the inning. A very quick inning for Cater Montero. He sets down the Blue Jays in order, and we go to the third in a 1-0 game in favor of Toronto. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
We're 2menintruck.ca. We've got lots of men and lots of trucks, so get ready to be moved.
Think 2menintruck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2menintruck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2menintruck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Turner's going to come home with the runner coming, and Jansen applies the tag. They got him.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Javier Baez up to the plate for the Detroit Tigers as we start the top of the third in Toronto. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Thanks so much for tuning in to Blue Jays baseball. Here's the pitch from Kevin Gausman, strike one. Gausman with a 6-pitch 1-2-3 second. Back out after Cater Montero's 7-pitch 1-2-3 second. And the 0-1. Fouled off of the catcher Jansen, 0-2.
It's hard to be much more efficient than that.
I think there probably were managers on both sides talking to the third hitter in that inning, maybe saying, hey, take one more pitch, 2 more pitches if possible. But it kind of evened out. 0-2. Down and in, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Interesting, right before that 2-strike pitch, Spencer Horwitz, second baseman for the Blue Jays, was up the middle. He shuffled a little bit more to the right side of the diamond, maybe a 2-strike adjustment. 1-2 pitch is fouled off of Baez, and he is lying down on the plate right now. Hit that off of the side of his own leg and gets up a little bit hobbled here. That'll send Ryan Eubanks, the trainer for the Tigers, and A.J. Hinch out to check on the shortstop.
Yeah, it is really interesting with the positioning for infielders, and oftentimes you will see a 2-strike approach to positioning that's slightly different than it would be on 1 strike or 0 strikes. Certainly it differs based on how many runners are on base, where those runners are. So there's tons of data that goes into that, of course, and the coaches guide the players from the dugout to where the optimal position is. And really it's kind of a widespread accepted thing in the game at this point. Even 10, 12 years ago, it was very, very much a novel part of the game, but now everyone just does that.
I think we saw it especially when the Blue Jays were in Cleveland about a month ago. They would have their outfielders race to different positions with 2 strikes, completely change where they were in the outfield. Baez, by the way, is okay after a long look. He's back at the plate facing a 1-2 count. The pitch. A little bit low with the splitter. Baez lays off, 2-2.
And that's why outfielders will have positioning cards in their pocket. If you see them pull something out of their pocket, it is not a cell phone. That is not allowed. It is a positioning card.
2-2. Fouled back, still 2-2. Who was Rodolfo Castro had accidentally had his iPhone in his pocket a couple years ago?
There have been iPhones on the field of play in Major League Baseball, but none of these Toronto Blue Jays have them. We can assure you of that.
2-2. Check swing tapper foul. Bounced off of Danny Jansen, then rolled off to the right, and it knocked the pitch calm off of Jansen. He picks it up off the dirt and gets ready to go again. Good battle here from Baez. He's seen 7 pitches. He's fouled off 3 of the last 4. Another 2-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Baez loses his helmet on a violent swing. Gausman gets him on the splitter for his first strikeout of the day.
Good execution there by Kevin Gausman to induce a swing and miss from a player certainly prone to swings and misses, as this pitch just dives toward the knees of Javi Baez. Gausman might have wanted that one a little lower, actually, but low enough to do the job.
Yeah, well, it was a swing and miss. It actually wasn't really a chase from Baez. That's probably a called strike if he takes it. 1 out now. Here's Gio Urshela, the 9-hitter. First pitch is yanked down the left field line. A base hit bouncing toward the corner. Urshela giving it a look. Now he'll turn around first and head to second and jog there with a stand-up double.
Nice job by Gio Urshela, who continues to produce for the Tigers in this utility role that he's in, bouncing between first and third this series. Certainly wonder if a contending team might try to acquire him for some bench help down the stretch.
Yeah, he's off to a really good start to this series. I mean, the series is almost over now, but he's 4 for 9 in the series.
He looks pretty legit.
Guy with a lot of experience as well on an expiring contract. And he flips the order over. Here's Wenzel Perez, who almost went deep on the first pitch of this game. First pitch of his second at-bat is outside, ball 1. 1-0 Blue Jays, top of the third. Runner on second base, Urshela. Wenzel Perez is a switch hitter batting left. The 1-0. Low, 2 balls, no strikes. We were talking about positioning. While the infield is playing aggressively for Perez to pull, shortstop Leo Jimenez right up the middle. The outfield is about as straight up as you can be. 2-0. Called strike. Perez, another guy having an impressive series, had the 2-run home run in game 1, scored once yesterday, was 0 for 3. Takes the 2-1 pitch low, 3 balls and 1 strike. New baseball for Gausman, who goes to the brim of his cap, stretches his arms out above his head, and steps on the rubber. Set at the belt, looking back at Urshela at second base. The 3-1. Fouled off to the left, 3-2. That might be the sharpest fastball we've seen today from Gausman, 95.5 miles an hour.
It's a good sign.
Full count, 1 out, runner on second. Gausman kicks and fires. And this one's hit in the air, shallow right center. Varsho sprinting in, has a beat on it, makes the catch. 2 down. Urshela stays at second.
That one even harder at 95.6 miles per hour. It's what you want to see, and this is 10 days since Kevin Gausman made his last start. He didn't start in that final series before the break in Arizona, so it's been a nice little rest for him. And coming back here with certainly the velocity that you would look for and some pretty good results against the Tigers early on.
Trying to end a third scoreless frame in a row. Runner on second, the pitch to Colt Keith with 2 outs, misses outside, 1-0. Got to be wary of Keith, though. Coming into this game, was hitting .333 in July with 5 homers and already has a base hit in this one, a single back in the first. 1-0. Strike. That was a fastball on the outside edge to make it 1-1. That's 5 of 9 total homers this year for Keith have come in the month of July, which is not over, obviously, and had a break in the middle. 1-1. Down and in. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Yeah, one of the young, promising players in this Tigers organization, along with Riley Green. Max Clark, another young position player coming up in their system, a top prospect.
2-1. Called strike 2-2. Keith threw his head back. He did not like the call, but that one did look like it hit the strike box. And now Kevin Gausman is stepping back on, trying to finish off the frame. Runner on second, Urshela after the double. 2 outs, 1-0 Blue Jays. Top of the third, the pitch. Low, full count.
And I was intrigued to see that on the pitching side, their top pitching prospect, Jackson Jobe, was part of a no-hitter yesterday, a double-A, through the first 6 innings of that game.
It's a double-A Erie Seawolves. 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Gausman spins off the mound. He got him on a splitter. He bookends a scoreless third with strikeouts. 1 hit allowed, but no runs in 1 left. 1-0 Blue Jays, middle of the third. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The biggest names in NASCAR talk are now with SiriusXM.
Hey, this is Dale Earnhardt Jr. inviting you to listen to my podcast, The Dale Jr. Download, each week on Dirty Mo Media and SiriusXM. As we react to NASCAR news, we chat with interesting people and share life's experiences. Whether it be Dirty Air, your Ally guest episodes, or DJD Reloaded, there's always something for you on the download.
Hear the Dale Jr. Download, plus every incredible podcast from Dirty Mo Media, right now on the SiriusXM app.
It's
fantasy football season, because we say it is.
Travis Kelce, touchdown!
From fantasy football strategies to players you need to draft or avoid.
Christian McCaffrey is one of the riskiest number 1 overall picks in fantasy football history.
Fantasy Sports Radio is your home to win.
There is no bigger value today than Dak Prescott.
If you're not preparing for the 2024 fantasy football season, you're already losing. Channel 87 and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
The NASCAR Cup Series is on Sirius XM. We're back on the track Sunday,
1:30 p.m. Eastern.
It's the Brickyard 400, presented by PPG from Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90 in the car and on the all-new Sirius XM app. Get closer to everything that moves you wherever you are with the Sirius XM app.
Let's make some smoke and drink some beer. Yes!
The Blue Jays are in flight, leading 3-0.
Blue Jays fans, this is Ross Atkins, and you're listening to Blue Jays Baseball on Sirius XM.
Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Bottom of the third inning at Rogers Center, 1-0 Blue Jays. Ernie Clement leading off for Toronto takes the first pitch outside from Cater Montero. 1 ball and no strikes. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Clement is the number 8 hitter in the Blue Jay order. 1-0. Takes again, called strike. It'll be Ernie Clement, Leo Jimenez, and then the top of the order and George Springer. Springer's leadoff home run in the bottom of the first is the difference in this game. The wind from Montero and the 1-1. Swing and a liner, left field, base hit. Looked like Clement reached pretty high up for that pitch, but got on top of it to put it into left field for the second Blue Jay hit today.
Yeah, right at the top of the zone there, Ernie Clement able to find that breaking ball that hung up and made some really good contact. Certainly not one to be overly picky with his swing decisions, and Ernie Clement benefits from that one.
He's now leading off first, and here is a more patient hitter, Leo Jimenez. Right on right, the pitch. Foul tipped into the glove, strike 1. Jimenez 8 for 26 in his 10 major league games. That's a .308 average. Pair of doubles, 1 RBI, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Lots of room on the right side of the diamond. Here's the 0-1. Called strike. Good slider. Makes it 0-2. Oh-2. Down and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. For Jimenez, it looks like, after we heard the comments from John Schneider after yesterday's game, a long run potentially here that he could have playing shortstop with Bo Bichette on the injured list. 1-2 pitch. Fouled back.
Well, the offensive numbers have been encouraging so far, and I just go back to the kind of smoothness and the comfort that he appears to have at shortstop, which anytime you're talking about that position, how defensively significant it is, that's huge, and he's looked very good out there.
1-2. Hit to center field well, but right at Riley Green, who moves to his right and makes a chest-high catch. 1 out. The third inning is brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Alliston and Bolton. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. George Springer at the plate hit his 58th career leadoff home run his last time up. A fastball hit over 400 feet to left center field. Montero from the stretch delivers the pitch. Foul tip, strike 1. For Springer, it was his first leadoff home run since September 19th of last season when he hit one off Clark Schmidt at Yankee Stadium.
Wow.
Oh, 1. Bounced, 1 ball and 1 strike.
The OPS now pushing toward 700, which is essentially league average this year. I'll check that in a moment, but essentially OPS around Major League Baseball has dropped off. It's at the low 700s. So Springer approaching being at the league average for offensive production.
1-1 outside, 2-1, which obviously isn't where a lot of people saw it at the beginning of the year, but also if you look at what transpired over the first couple months, to be at this point where it's pushing league average is a pretty big success right now for the Blue Jays. 2-1. Swing and a fly ball. Left center field. Curling back McKinstry at the wall. That ball's gone! Another home run for George Springer, and the Blue Jays take a 3-0 lead.
Well, this is something else from George Springer. 2 home runs today. His offensive surge continues. He looks so different than the player that showed up for the first 2.5 months of this season. He looks much more like the vintage George Springer that we've seen at times here in Toronto over the course of the past few seasons. And he is really responsible for this 3-0 lead here with all 3 runs driven in.
And Ben, it's another 95-plus mile-per-hour fastball that Springer hits out, a 96-mile-an-hour four-seamer. Spencer Horwitz is up. He hits the first pitch on the ground to second. Coming up with it, Keith throws to first. 2 down. 3-0 Blue Jays. Welcome to the Timbermart broadcast booth. When home improvement projects are throwing you a curveball, talk to the folks at Timbermart before you begin your next job. They've got the material and know how to make sure you have all your bases covered. Timbermart, Canada's building center. 2 George Springer home runs today. Now 2 outs in the bottom of the third. Nobody on for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. The wind and the pitch. Swinging a pop-up right side of the infield. First baseman Madris is shielding his eyes from the sun. He's called off by Keith, who catches the pop-up. The second baseman reels it in to end the inning. 2 more runs for the Blue Jays on 2 more hits. George Springer with his second home run of the game and his 13th of the season makes it 3-0 Blue Jays as we go to the 4th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
It's been a year of superstars.
Clark, logo 3.
And historic viewership in women's sports.
We saw Nebraska put a volleyball match in a football stadium and have over 90,000 people attend.
SiriusXM has brought together an all-star roster of our female hosts to talk about this moment in women's sports.
We should just allow the athletes to not necessarily talk about being a trailblazer, just allowing it to happen.
Here's Shattering Ceilings 2024 in women's sports right now on the SiriusXM app.
Every night after the final out, the Round Trip Roundup brings you the scores, highlights, and analysis from every game across Major League Baseball, all in less than 30 minutes.
Swung on and missed, strike 3 and a no-hitter.
It's the perfect way to get caught up on all the night's biggest home runs and best performances.
And a high drive, deep right center.
It's the Round Trip Roundup on MLB Network Radio every night on SiriusXM Channel 89 and every morning on the SiriusXM app.
It's fantasy football season, because we say it is.
Travis Kelce, touchdown!
From fantasy football strategies to players you need to draft or avoid.
Christian McCaffrey is one of the riskiest #1 overall picks in fantasy football history.
Fantasy Sports Radio is your home to win.
There is no bigger value today than Dak Prescott.
If you're not preparing for the 2024 fantasy football season, you're already losing. Channel 87 and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Hi, this is Alexa. Did you know you can listen to this game on devices with Amazon Alexa? Download the SiriusXM app, then tell me to play the Blue Jays on SiriusXM.
Justin Henry Malloy leading off for the Tigers. Top of the 4th inning in Toronto. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. First pitch from Kevin Gausman hits the zone with a fastball. Strike 1. 3-0 thanks to 2 George Springer homers. Hit his second one of the game moments ago in the bottom of the third. The 0-1. Low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Middle of the Tigers order this inning. Malloy, Green, and Kelly. 3-4-5. 1-1. Swing and a foul ball into the netting behind home plate. 1-2. This is just remarkable, Ben. The run right now that George Springer started seemingly out of nowhere.
It really is, because he is turning on pitches. He is getting that loft in his swing. He's barreling up balls.
1-2. Down and away, 2-2.
He's not getting overmatched at all. It's all there. And this is after 2.5 months where none of it was there. So we're talking about a total 180. Now, he's done this before in his career. Of course, he's had a great career in the major leagues. But this is another level.
2-2 pitch to Malloy, hit foul off to the right and into the seats.
And look, you add it up, it's essentially league average production for George Springer. Now 13 home runs, puts him on pace for, let's say, 20 home runs or so with good defense in right field. We're still not talking about a superstar season.
2-2. Fouled back once more.
Or even a star season, but he's providing value. And what he's doing today, what he's done the last few weeks, that is game-changing. That is star-caliber production. So it's still in there. Now, how long that's sustained for, what this looks like 1 year later in 2025, we'll see.
2-2. Down and in, full count. But yeah, he is a guy under contract with this team until 2026. And so certainly you want him producing if you are wanting the Blue Jays to be winning games. 3-2. Popped up. This one in fair territory. Back of first. Turner shielding his eyes from the sun. Horwitz, the second baseman, calls him off and catches it in right. 1 out. This fourth inning is presented by Bet365. At Bet365, you can watch thousands of live games. Build your own bet and can even make a bet while the game's still being played. 19 plus, play responsibly. Ontario only. Here's Riley Green, left-handed hitting center fielder. A walk his first time up, also a diving catch today in center field. The pitch. Low ball 1. Green coming off his first All-Star appearance in his career, and while a lot of it has to do with the bat, the glove out there in the outfield too is a big part of the package for Riley Green. 1-0. Swing and a miss.
It is. He's a good defensive center fielder. He's been busy today. Of the Blue Jays' 9 outs, Green has been there for 5 of them. So certainly showing off that glove early on this afternoon, but that's been a season-long trend for him. It's a reason the Tigers trust him in center.
1-1. Fouled off to the left and looping into the third deck, or actually just into the back end of the second level. It's 1-2. And Green had an interesting path to the All-Star game where he wasn't even close on the voting, the fan voting that is. Here's the 1-2. Poked out to shallow left field. Frustration from Green as Dalton Varsho camps under it and makes the catch. 2 down. Green, though, was overwhelmingly voted in as a reserve by his colleagues once the spot was open. And he had said about getting voted in after not being close in the fan voting that it, quote, meant a lot to him because a lot of people outside, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, weren't seeing how hard it was and how much he was working for this, but those in the game were recognizing what he had done.
It's always significant to be recognized by those players. It always means a lot.
First pitch to Carson Kelly, down and away, 1-0. Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith, Show Ali, our host, Nick Blackmore, our producer, Andrew Adams and Tom Young, our technical directors. 1-0 to Kelly. Hit in the air, slicing down the right field line, and foul. Three 3-0 Blue Jay lead and smooth sailing so far for Kevin Gausman. 2 outs and the bases empty, top of the 4th. Gausman set at the belt, bouncing on that front left foot. Comes still, and the 1-1. Down and in, 2 balls and 1 strike. Right-handers set again, looking in at the tall righty swinging catcher. 2-1 pitch. Just below the knees. A couple of very close misses by Gausman. 3 balls and 1 strike. Righty just went over 50 pitches at 52 as he gets ready to deliver to Carson Kelly. Here's the pitch. And it's hit off the mound. Might have clipped Gausman. It bounces into center field for a base hit. Gausman is not acting like that ball hit him, and if it didn't, it snuck right between his legs. Either way, it's a single for Kelly.
And really no chance of anyone on the Blue Jays making a play on that ball because it skipped up off of the mound just between the infielders, Horwitz and Jimenez. Neither one of them had a shot to corral that one before it skipped into center field.
I think that did hit Gausman. I think it skimmed off of him at least, off a bounce, but he never made that apparent to the dugout. No one's checked on him. He appears to be okay. And now the pitch to Bly Madris. Strike one? No, pardon me, it's outside. Jeremy Riggs had turned his head like he might have pointed over there, but decided to call it a ball. Kelly leading off first, not a threat to run, has not stolen a base this year. 1-0. Swing and a miss. Three 3-0 Blue Jays, 2 outs, top of the fourth. Kelly talking with Turner over at first base before he takes his lead. Gausman peeks at first, delivers home. Swinging a foul ball off to the left and over the netting. 1-2. Kelly and Turner would have seen each other, the two chatting at first base in the National League West. Kelly played for a long time with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Turner, of course, with the LA Dodgers. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Got Madris out in front on the splitter. A third strikeout of the day for Gausman and a fourth scoreless frame. 3-0 Blue Jays, middle of the fourth. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center. Streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Lumos. Witches, wizards, and muggles come down to the core as Roger Center transforms into Hogwarts. Harry Potter-themed entertainment and activities around the ballpark.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Magic moments create core memories. So fly down to Roger Center on Friday, August 9th, and get one of 4 Blue Jays Harry Potter Hogwarts House Raglan shirts. Harry Potter Night. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Francis kicks and delivers. Called strike 3, 95
on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Justin Turner kicking away some dirt in the righty batter's box before getting underway in the bottom of the fourth inning. 3-0. The Blue Jays lead the Tigers. Cater Montero winds and offers. Turner takes a fastball for strike 1. I'm Ben Schulman. To my left is Ben Nicholson-Smith. Blue Jays trying to avoid being swept here at home. 0-1. Bounce foul.
It's been a tough offensive stretch for Justin Turner here as he looks to get going. 3 for 37 in the month of July, all singles. So he has not been making quality contact.
After a really strong June. 0-2 pitch, down and away. It's been a bit of a seesaw season. I was just looking today at some of his on-base numbers. 370s in March, April. Drops into the low 200s in May. 1-2. Down and away, 2-2. He had a 465 on-base percentage in June, which was top 3 in Major League Baseball. And now he has an on-base percentage in the 160s in July. Montero kicks and delivers. And Turner takes called strike 3. 97 right on the outside edge. Turner doesn't love it. He's set down for the first out of the inning.
And when you look at those hot streaks, it's clear that he still has it in him to make some good contact, show off that doubles power, really work good counts, draw some good walks. Those skills still exist. They haven't totally disappeared. So in the next 10 days, the Blue Jays give that a shot. You obviously keep playing him and see what he can do.
Pitch to Danny Jansen, called strike 1.
And maybe there's a taker. Maybe someone wants to acquire a veteran designated hitter who can contribute down the stretch.
The 0-1. Called strike 2.
But we'll have to see what that looks like, because there are a lot of teams out there that might want someone who's producing now. And the way Turner's gone in the last month, last few weeks anyway, it hasn't been very good.
0-2. Swing and a miss by Jansen, strike 3. Foul tipped that one, actually, but he goes down all the same, and there are 2 outs. Let's go to the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill, devilishly good since Toronto first raised the trophy in '92. Join them for wings, ribs, beer, cocktails, and catch every play at your local St. Louis Bar and Grill. Download the app or visit stlouiswings.com for more details. Always devilishly good. First, the pitch to Dalton Varsho. Line to right field, sinking and down for a hit. Varsho jumps on a first pitch fastball that was left over the plate, and he's got a knock today, a 2-out base runner for the Blue Jays. On that St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard, one team you figure to buy at the deadline, the New York Yankees, trailing right now to the Tampa Bay Rays, 1-0. Richie Palacios with a leadoff home run off of Marcus Stroman, and it's 1-0 Tampa Bay in the Bronx. Here's the pitch to Davis Schneider. Strike 1. One question will be what the Rays want to do at the deadline, sitting exactly at 500 right now. A 1 pitch. Schneider hits it on a line, headed to left field and down. McKinstry was playing him deep, so had no shot at that one. Varsho up to second, back-to-back 2-out hits.
You don't see left fielders playing much deeper than where Zach McKinstry was right there. He was on the outfield grass, but probably only about 10 feet, 15 feet in front of the warning track, so there was no shot at catching that ball.
Likely his positioning isn't up to him and more the team, but for McKinstry, it is his first start in left field this year. Here's Ernie Clement, first and second, 2 outs. 3-0 Blue Jays, the pitch. High ball 1. Clement had a single back in the 3rd inning and came around to score on the George Springer 2-run homer. Springer's 2 home runs today, 1 a solo shot, 1 a 2-run homer, has the Blue Jays up 3-0 in the 4th. 1-0. Swing and a fly ball left center field. McKinstry converging with Green, and McKinstry reaches up to make the catch and end the inning. No runs on a pair of hits, 2 left on, and a 3-0 Blue Jay lead after 4. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Up front tonight, the breaking news.
Get closer to what's happening right now with the Sirius XM news channels.
Taking a closer look at the numbers from 7 important battleground states.
From cable news to business.
And so the markets need to be prepared for that and the volatility.
And international.
Tensions are running high as Russian and American troops share the same.
The Sirius XM news channels, starting at channel 112 and on the Sirius XM app.
It's fantasy football season, because we say it is.
Travis Kelce, touchdown!
From fantasy football strategies to players you need to draft or avoid.
Christian McCaffrey is one of the riskiest #1 overall picks in fantasy football history.
Fantasy Sports Radio is your home to win.
There is no bigger value today than Dak Prescott.
If you're not preparing for the 2024 fantasy football season, you're already losing. Channel 87 and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Nobody covers the National Football League like Sirius XM NFL Radio.
Mahomes fires it late for the end zone. Caught! Touchdown!
Stay updated with the latest news leading up to training camps.
We don't care about expectations. Talk doesn't win games.
Our panel of experts is getting you ready for the 2024 season.
The more I watch this guy, the more I like him.
There's a story for every team on Sirius XM NFL Radio Channel 88 in the car and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Fantasy football players, learn winning strategies right now on Fantasy Sports Radio to help you draft a winning team on Channel 87 and on the SiriusXM app.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
The fifth inning is brought to you by Desjardins Financial Group. Desjardins awarded another 150 grants worth $20,000 each to entrepreneurs across Canada. See how Desjardins cheered on small biz at goodsparkgrants.ca. Kevin Gausman on the mound in his first pitch to Zach McKinstry low, 1-0. Blue Jays up 3-0 on the Tigers, top of the fifth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Welcome to the Timbermark broadcast booth. Third baseman Ernie Clement with his toes on the infield turf, 1-0. McKinstry hits it up the middle on the ground and through into right center field, a base hit. First hit of the day for McKinstry, fourth for the Tigers, and their first leadoff base runner as they have McKinstry on with nobody out.
Not a hard hit ball, but McKinstry gets enough of this one to bounce it through the infield about 5-6 times between the middle infielders and get the Tigers started.
McKinstry is a threat to run as well. 7 stolen bases, leads the Tigers, has not been caught this year. Gausman's pitch. Javi Baez cuts and misses, strike one. Though these two teams in general, they barely run. Toronto and Detroit tied for the 4th fewest stolen bases in Major League Baseball, entering today at 44 aside. The 0-1. Check swing, pitch was high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Baez struck out on a splitter in the third. Former Cub and Met with a wide open stance, the 1-1. Low, 2 balls and 1 strike. Baez in year 3 of his 6-year deal with the Tigers. 2-1. Check swing. Pitch was high again. 3-1.
Similar magnitude to the George Springer contract, and this one certainly aging worse than the Springer deal.
6 years, $140 million for Javi Baez. Struggling this season. Next pitch fouled back, and it's 3-2. Hitting 180 this year with 1 homer. He has only played in 60 games, missed about a month from early June to early July with spine inflammation. Baez now asks for time. Says, though, one of the top middle infielders of the 2010s. Finished top 2 in an MVP race one year. 3-2, no, it's going to be a throw over to first and a dive back from McKinstry. It was 2018 when Javier Baez hit 34 homers and led the National League with 111 RBIs, finished second in MVP voting to Christian Yelich, who had a phenomenal year as well. The set from Gausman and the pitch to Baez. Called strike 3. Splitter on the inside edge, and Baez just starts to move now. He wasn't so sure, but he's retired for Gausman's 5th strikeout, or pardon me, his 4th strikeout, and his first out here in the 5th.
And a nice run for Kevin Gausman here as he looks to build on a couple really good starts to close out the first half of the season for the Jays at Seattle, at San Francisco. Both those starts were very good, and today against Detroit looks to be building on that with another strong outing.
Here's his pitch to Gio Urshela. McKinstry takes off. Pitch is popped up back of first. Springer racing into foul territory. Reaches out and makes the play. Momentum carrying him all the way into the infield. That was a long run for George Springer. Gave McKinstry time to get back to first. They're now 2 down.
Yeah, that's not an easy play. That's a really good read by George Springer to just sprint and cover a lot of distance on the way in to get that ball. But his defense all season has been consistent. The offense has come in fits and starts, and certainly not the total volume of offensive production the Blue Jays would have wanted, but the defense really has been there for Springer all season.
Springer covered 136 feet there to catch that ball. Now a throw over to first and a dive back safe by McKinstry.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Started pretty much playing straight away in right field and ran way in, almost to the dirt and into foul territory. 2 outs, runner on first. 3-0 Blue Jays, top of the 5th. The pitch. Called strike.
You think about 90 feet between the bases, so you're going basically first to second and then halfway to third. Like, that's the amount of distance that Springer's covering right there.
Wenzel Perez, the fellow right fielder, at the plate now, facing an 0-1 count. Gausman kicks and pitches. McKinstry takes off. Pitch outside of ball. Throw down to second, and he is safe. The throw was tailing a little bit toward right center. Leo Jimenez tried to swipe at it and tag, and it appeared to pop out of his glove. Not sure they get McKinstry anyway. Regardless, though, it's his 8th stolen base of the year.
Yeah, McKinstry bolts over towards second base, and Jansen appeared to be throwing with the intention of having that ball land on the first base side of second, having the tag applied to maybe the feet of the base runner, but it wasn't in time.
1-1. Check swing, pitch in the dirt. Peel down to third, no swing, says Nestor Seja. It's 2-1. So McKinstry now with sole possession of the team lead and stolen bases for the Tigers. Wenzel Perez, who's at the plate, had been tied with him at 7, but now McKinstry has 8. Gausman staring at the base runner at second. Pitches to Perez and misses low, 3-1. Perez is 0 for 2 today, but he's dangerous. One of the best American League rookies this year at the plate. 3-1. Down and in, ball 4. That'll be a walk, and runners on first and second with 2 down. Perez this year, he's top 5 among American League rookies in runs, hits, extra base hits, and stolen bases, and he leads all American League rookies in triples.
Cole Keith also in some of those categories, so the Tigers have some newcomers contributing on offense.
Keith about to come up to the plate. First, Pete Walker out to the mound, talking with Kevin Gausman and the entire infield and Danny Jansen. With that, quick check at the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. The Canadian men's national basketball team played their final tune-up game before the Olympics today against Puerto Rico, and Canada defeated Puerto Rico 103-93. Didn't play a lot of the regulars in big minutes. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 14 points in 23 minutes. Jamal Murray, who didn't play against France, got in for about 7 minutes in that game and contributed 4 assists. And the leading scorer for Canada was Dylan Brooks, who scored 21 points in 22 minutes. That's our look at the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. Pete Walker back in the Blue Jay dugout. Infield back in their positions. And at the plate, left-handed hitting rookie Colt Keith. 3-0 Blue Jays. First and second, 2 outs, top of the 5th. Gausman staring at second, kicks and fires. Outside, ball 1. Keith hit his first career home run against the Blue Jays off of Alek Manoah in late May. 1-0 pitch. High and outside, 2-0. It was a Manoah changeup that Keith hit for a 2-run home run that day. And in general, the Tigers like off-speed pitches. 2-0. Strike, 2-1. Off-speed being defined as changeups, splitters. You can throw a forkball. Tigers top 10 in average on base and slugging in Major League Baseball against off-speed. 2-1. Down and in, 3-1. Gausman's walked 1 this inning. First and second, 2 down. 3-1 pitch. Outside, ball 4. A second walk in a row, and now the bases are loaded with 2 outs.
this is a little reminiscent of Yusei Kikuchi the other day when he was pitching against the Tigers and ran into some trouble. Similar situation in the 6th inning. Just wasn't able to locate as well. Right now, Kevin Gausman pitching in the 5th inning and has walked consecutive batters after that leadoff single. So this is the first real trouble he's encountered today.
His pitch to Justin Henry Malloy, fastball, strike one. Malloy, a rookie in his 35th Major League game, hitting .214 coming into this one and 0 for 2 today. Infield plays back, bases loaded, 2 down. Gausman rocks and releases. Swing and a fly ball, left center field and deep. Going back, Varsho into the shade of the wall, looking up. That ball is gone. A grand slam for the Tigers, a second day in a row, and this one flips the game from 3-0 down. Detroit takes a 4-3 lead on Justin Henry Malloy's grand slam.
And Kevin Gausman with his hands over his head as he watched that one go over the wall. Just a look of dismay, and now he's behind the mound trying to gather himself. Malloy got all of that one, reminiscent of the Jake Rogers grand slam off of Trevor Richards yesterday, and now the Blue Jays trailing once again in this series.
That was a middle-in four-seam fastball that Malloy hit out. First pitch to Riley Green is down and in, ball one. Gausman gave up a leadoff single this inning, then got 2 outs relatively quickly with the strikeout and the foul fly ball. 1-0 pitch hit on the ground to second, picked up by Horwitz. He'll throw it over to first and end the inning. Tigers, though, come up with 2 walks with 2 outs and then a grand slam. Justin Henry Malloy makes it 4-3 Detroit, middle of the 5th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
I'm John Paul Morosi, host of the SiriusXM original podcast, The Road to Cooperstown. Each week, I talk with a Baseball Hall of Famer about the challenges they overcame to become an all-time great.
It is a hard game, and mentally it's hard.
My legs started shaking.
They pretty much knew I was going to have lung surgery after the season. I wasn't for sure. Would I ever play baseball again?
The Road to Cooperstown is the official podcast of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Episodes are available now on the all-new SiriusXM app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The most important person in sports is you, the fan.
Let me tell you something. I'm a real fan.
And your place for sports talk is Mad Dog Sports Radio, where your voice is heard all day long.
I couldn't wait to get into the truck, turn on 82.
Sharing the thrill of victory.
The joy, the jubilation. I can't stop smiling.
And the agony of defeat.
When is this franchise going to realize people really care about this?
Passionate sports fans call 888-MAD-DOG-6.
You gotta love sports.
Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, or anytime on the SiriusXM app.
Blue Jays fans, your manager, Sean Schneider, joins MLB Network Radio every other Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Hopefully you get a couple guys going at the same time, and we're just looking for consistency. It's been tough, it's been frustrating at times, but also feel good about the progress that certain guys have made and that the progress that we've made in terms of, our prep and our work.
Managers at the mic on MLB Network Radio, Sirius XM 89 and the Sirius XM app.
24/7, 365 coverage of all things NASCAR. All things NASCAR happens exclusively on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Timbermark broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. 4-3, the Tigers lead the Blue Jays. Bottom of the 5th in Toronto. Leo Jimenez leading off for Toronto and takes a first pitch strike from Cater Montero. 0-1. Montero pitching with the lead for the first time today. The righty winds and delivers. Called strike, 0-2. Blue Jays had led the whole way until a 2-out grand slam in the top of the 5th. Now in the bottom half, Montero winds, delivers, and Jimenez takes down and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And these are big moments for the Tigers. They have a chance today to get to the 500 mark, which would put them more in that conversation for the postseason.
1-2 pitch. Swing and a fly ball, shallow right center field. Wenzel Perez coming in makes the catch. 1 down. Let's go to the injury report, brought to you by Bergmanis Prera Personal Injury Lawyers. If life has thrown you a curveball and you're striking out with your insurance company, get ahead of the count and call Bergmanis Prera Personal Injury Lawyers. You focus on getting better, and Bergmanis Prera will take care of the rest. Visit bplawyers.ca. First, George Springer up with 2 home runs already on the day. The pitch from Montero, outside, ball 1. Nothing major on the Blue Jays side. John Schneider not speaking today, but for Detroit, they did put Reese Olson on the injured list. Next pitch to Springer, called strike, 1-1. Olson left yesterday's game after 2 innings, and he is now on the 15-day IL. They also had to move Kerry Carpenter to the 60-day IL to open up spot on the 40-man roster. 1-1 pitch is yanked down the left field line by Springer. A base hit rolling into the corner. Cut off there by McKinstry. Springer trying for second. Throw coming in, and he's safe with a head-first dive. 2 fists in the air from Springer, lying on his back in the dirt. He left his helmet in his wake, but he's got his 15th double of the year, although the Tigers might look at this one as the ball appeared to beat him there. They're not going to look. It will be a double.
Very close play at second base. Springer sliding in. He almost knocked over second base umpire Todd Titchener, who made that safe call basically as he was catching his balance and stepping over Springer. But that's 3 extra base hits for George Springer right now. We talked about OPS earlier in the game. League average 709. Springer right now 713.
Here's a pitch to Spencer Horwitz. Lined up the middle of base hit into center field. Springer's getting the wave. He'll score without a throw. We're tied at 4. RBI for Spencer Horwitz, his 12th of the season. 4-4.
And quietly, Spencer Horwitz continues to produce offensively for the Blue Jays. It's George Springer who's had the loudest swings of the day. He's driving all of this offense for the Blue Jays, but Horwitz quietly contributing as well. That's a big RBI single.
Chris Fender, the pitching coach, is out to talk to Cater Montero. Horwitz continues to build on what was an impressive .315 batting average coming into this game. And for Springer, you mentioned bringing his on-base plus slugging to .713. It started today in the 680s, but with 2 home runs and a double, he has drastically changed the look of his numbers.
Improving those numbers almost as much as humanly possible in a 3-plate appearance span.
Springer back in the dugout. He has scored 3 of the 4 Blue Jay runs today. It's 4-4. 1 out, runner on first. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. up. The pitch from Cater Montero. Fastball, low and away, 1-0.
Wonder if the Tigers get someone loose. Some stirring in their bullpen right now, and you'd think that they'd want someone behind Montero as a lefty starts loosening.
1-0. Fouled back, 1-1. Left-hander is Joey Wentz, who the Blue Jays have not seen yet in this series. You presume the left-hander Tyler Holton is down after pitching back-to-back days. 1-1 pitch. Guerrero hits it on the ground to the second baseman Keith. Up with it, flips to Baez 1. Throw over to first in time, 4-6-3, inning-ending double play. Springer doubles, Horwitz singles, and the Blue Jays score a run to tie it up. It's a 4-4 game as we go to the 6th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's Building Centre. Visit timbermart.ca.
Tuesdays on City TV are all about talent.
That was amazing.
Watch all new episodes of AGT.
This was a level up.
Spectacular. You were born to do this.
With mind-blowing acts.
It's mesmerizing. Your stars.
That'll have you saying,
yes, 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 yes. I think there's a good chance that you're going to walk out of here with $1 million.
America's Got Talent. All new. Tuesdays 8/7 Central on City TV or stream it on City TV Plus.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Fielded at second. Horwitz steps on the bag, throws to first. Double play.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back to downtown Toronto. Top of the 6th inning. New ball game between the Tigers and Blue Jays. It's 4-4 at Rogers Center. Carson Kelly leading off against Kevin Gausman. First pitch hit on the ground softly to third. Picked up by Ernie Clement, and a throw to first in time. One out in the top of the 6th. This 6th inning brought to you by Desjardins Financial Group. A big fan of small biz. That's why they awarded another $3 million to small business owners across the country. See how Desjardins cheered on small biz this year at goodsparkgrants.ca. One out, and Bly Madris is up, called up today by the Tigers. First pitch. Strike one. Madris up with Houston last year and Pittsburgh the year before that. Gausman rocks and delivers. And it's outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Clement in at third. The 1-1. Outside 2-1. Gausman about to throw his 85th pitch. Are you surprised no stirring whatsoever in the Blue Jay pen, or is this expected?
To me, it's not a shock.
2-1. Low, 3-1.
I'll say this. If one batter reaches, I think someone gets up, and I don't think Gausman pitches beyond this inning. So if he goes 3 up, 3 down, then they would get someone up following the inning. And I think if he walks Madris, for example, someone will get up.
3-1 pitch, fouled straight back, full count.
The bullpen should be relatively rested for the Blue Jays. I wonder, Jimmy Garcia might be down just because they might not want to go back-to-back with him so soon after coming off the injured list. Ryan Burr has pitched back-to-back. But otherwise, with an off day tomorrow, probably everyone's available.
Gausman in the set. His 87th pitch of the day is hit foul to the left. Oh, just fell out of the hands of a fan in the front row of the 200 level and popped back down to the 100 level seats. It's a tough one. That went hands, stomach, hands, and then bounced away. Another 3-2. And another foul ball. This one hit just off to our left and bouncing off the front facing of the 300 level boxes.
Yeah, if I had to guess, Nate Pearson, Genesis Cabrera, now's a good time to be taking that last sip of your energy drink, making sure that you're going over those scouting reports for the Tigers hitters, because they might be called upon within the next few batters, depending on how things go with Gausman right here.
3-2 again. Swing and a miss. Got him on the splitter, leading out in front. That's the 5th Gausman strikeout today. And 2 down here in the top of the 6th. I like the idea you mentioning Pearson specifically, because he actually hasn't pitched since the All-Star break. So that almost feels like a shoo-in to get him in. Everyone else has at least gone once.
So Pearson looks like that probably logical candidate to pitch.
First pitch to Zach McKinstry, low ball 1.
At some point today.
2 outs, top of the 6th. 4-4 game with the bases empty. Clement, hungry for bunts, is still in at third base. 1-0 to McKinstry. Left-handed hitter hits it in the air to left field. Davis Schneider moving over. near the side warning track, makes the catch and ends the inning. Another 1-2-3 for Kevin Gausman. Keeps us tied at 4, middle of the 6th inning. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Keep the grill lit.
A T-bone steak, cheese, eggs, and Welch's grape.
With barbecue-themed channels sure to get the backyard bumping. From hip-hop,
Bring the noise, my time.
to classic rock,
An American girl.
country,
Can I have some help?
and beyond.
A lovely
Set it and forget it all summer long. Only in the SiriusXM app. Just search BBQ.
Are you regretting eating that gas station hot dog? Yeah, we know. We've been there too. This is a message for baseball fans like you. Did you know that you get a channel that's talking baseball 24/7 as part of your SiriusXM subscription?
What?
Our lineup includes shows hosted by former big leaguers and executives. Plus, you'll hear from 17 managers each week. MLB Network Radio is on SiriusXM Channel 89, or just search MLB Network Radio on the SXM app. SiriusXM Sports. We're more than just a game.
While you're listening to this game on SiriusXM, we're talking about the latest odds and prop bets for this and every game on Sports Grid Radio.
The under's minus 125. Heavy juice to the under.
Every home run hit and every strikeout thrown can change the line.
I can't for the life of me figure out how you can favor a team that never wins, ever.
If you're looking for sports talk centered around the latest odds and prop bets for games, races, tournaments, or any sporting event, Sports Grid Radio, SiriusXM, Channel 159.
The Blue Jays are in flight, leading 3-0.
Blue Jays fans, this is Ross Atkins, and you're listening to Blue Jays Baseball on SiriusXM.
Radio Network.
Welcome to the Timbermart broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Bottom of the 6th inning, 4-4 Blue Jays and Tigers. Cater Montero, the Tigers starter, into the wind. His pitch to Justin Turner, yanked down and away. 1-0. A left-hander got loose last inning when Montero ran into some trouble, but he got out of it only on 65 pitches now as he rocks and releases. Turner foul tips it 1-1. A.J. Hinch, though, Ben, does seem to have now a righty getting up in case maybe Montero gets in trouble again. Will Vest is getting loose. The 1-1 pitch down and away, 2-1.
Yeah, interesting to see how the Tigers manage this one, because the pitch count certainly not the concern for Montero at this point in the game. We mentioned earlier he's actually been pretty efficient with his pitches as a starter.
Next offering is lined by Turner to right field, a base hit. Sliced that fastball down in front of Wenceel Perez. It's a leadoff single for the Blue Jays.
But as we also mentioned, the Tigers have a chance to get to 500. That would mean something to this team without a doubt. So they want to find a way to get this win, if at all possible. They're not, as we've seen in years past, it's all about development, it's all about the future. Now they're trying to balance those two things.
Cater Montero, the rookie, deals to Danny Jansen and hits the outside corner with a slider, strike one. Turner on first, nobody out, bottom of the 6th, 4-4. Montero peeks at Turner, now sets, twists and deals. And it's fouled back by Jansen, 0-2.
It's been a quiet stretch for Danny Jansen here the last 6-7 weeks or so. Got off to such a good start offensively, but he's looking to rediscover that form at the plate.
0-2. Chopped foul toward the Blue Jays' third base dugout. Yeah, if you include today in an 8-game stretch, Jansen 3 for his last 24. Catcher pinwheels the bat twice, now brings it above his right shoulder. Turner with a slight lead off first. Another 0-2 pitch. Hit in the air, center field. Green froze, now coming in, reaches out and makes the catch. 1 out.
And if we dial it back further, Danny Jansen began the month of June with an OPS above 900. And since then, he's batting 138 with a 447 OPS.
After Jansen's retired, A.J. Hinch is taking a walk out to the mound. It looks like the day is over for Cater Montero. Looking to point to the bullpen, and the rookie's getting a pat on the back. They are going to go to the righty, Will Vest, with the go-ahead run for the Blue Jays on first base and 1 out. With that, we will hand it over to today's host. It's a 4-4 game, 1 on, 1 out, bottom of the 6th. Here's Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben. And before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill, don't forget we do have Jays Talk today. Nick Ashbourne is here with me at the Dome. He and I have the post-game show. We'll take your calls and text. I will throw out the numbers for you to call after the final out. And you can text us as well. 590-590, name and location. The People's Text line is always open. Let's check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. We'll actually start outside of sports. Big-time world news usually does make it onto the out-of-town check, and I think this qualifies. U.S. President Joe Biden has announced he is not going to seek re-election. He will withdraw from the presidential race. He has endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. For more, you can check in with our friends at City News 680 here in Toronto. In the world of golf, we do have a major tournament this weekend, the 152nd Open Championship. Xander Schauffele, the winner of this year's Claret Jug. He shot a 65 in his final round to finish at 9 under to win the tournament. It's his second major win of the year. He won the PGA Championship back in May. In Hungary this morning, the Hungarian Grand Prix was in action. McLaren's Oscar Piastri winning his first F1 race. His teammate Lando Norris placing second, and finishing third is Lewis Hamilton, who gets on the podium for the 200th time. Canada's Lance Stroll, meanwhile, finishing 10th today for Aston Martin. On the international basketball stage, another tune-up for the men's national Olympic squad. Canada beating Puerto Rico 103-93. Dylan Brooks with 21 points to lead the way. Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Trey Lyles both finishing with 15 points. That is the final game for the men's team before the Olympics gets going. The women's team will actually play 2 more. They'll play Australia on Tuesday, July 23rd, and Spain on Wednesday, July 24th. The opening ceremonies in Paris go on Friday. Blue Jays baseball is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Back to the action. Here's Ben and Ben.
Thank you very much. Joe Dalton Varsho coming up to the plate. 4-4 ball game, bottom of the 6th. And with Justin Turner on first, Will Vest, the righty, is in. The pitch. Varsho checks his swing on a pitch that bounced near his back foot. He did not go around. It's 1-0. 44th appearance of the season for Vest. 324 earned run average for the righty. 1-0. Foul tipped by Varsho. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Fastball on the inside part of the plate. That's a pitch that Varsho likes, took a swing at, but just fouled off.
Vest's got good velocity. His four-seamer is mid to high 90s. Sharp slider as well. 1-1. Fouled back again. 97 on that fastball. It's 1-2. Vest also will use a sinker and a change. Doesn't use them often, but if he's going to, it's likely against a left-handed hitter like Dalton Varsho.
And his forte has really been keeping the ball in the park with just 2 homers allowed in 43 games.
1-2. High, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Line is still open right now on the starter, Cater Montero. He's responsible for Turner on first. Next pitch is down and in, and Varsho's worked a full count. Right-hander from Lawrence, Kansas, Will Vest, looking in. And the 3-2. Hit foul off to the left. Pardon me, from Houston, Texas, Will Vest. He's now in his 3rd year with the Tigers. Briefly spent time with the Seattle Mariners. Another full count pitch. And another foul ball. Varsho hit that one off of the glove of the catcher Carson Kelly before it bounced behind the plate. Davis Schneider is on deck. Both Varsho and Schneider 1 for 2 today. 3-2 again. Bounce to the plate, ball 4. Varsho tosses the bat away and takes a 1-out walk. That'll push Turner into scoring position. He's at second.
Nice job by Dalton Varsho right there. With a new pitcher coming into this game, able to work a walk and give the Blue Jays a real threat here in a game that they once seemed to have a real grasp on, but is now tied.
Davis Schneider starting to maybe heat up a little bit once again. 6 for his last 17. Here's the pitch. Fouls it back. 0-1. That's in a 7-game stretch, although he doesn't have an extra base hit in that stretch or in this month in general. Last extra base hit was a home run at Cleveland. That was June 22nd when he did that. 0-1 pitch. Fastball on the outside corner. 0-2.
Good aggressive approach by Schneider on that first pitch of the at-bat. Fastball inside. Takes a hack at it. Doesn't connect.
0-2. Down and away. Turner on second. He singled to start the inning. Varsho walked. He's on first. 1 out, 4-4. Bottom of the 6th. The pitch. Outside, 2-2. "36 RBIs on the season for Davis Schneider." The 2-2. Just off the plate outside. Maybe a little bit low. Full count. Couple twirls of the bat from Schneider. Brings it to his right ear. 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. 96 just got the outside edge. Schneider went after it but couldn't connect. 2 down.
The runners staying put on that one. Of course, Justin Turner at second base. No real sense in sending anyone. And that pitch out over the plate. Davis Schneider, arms extended, looks a little off balance on that one as Vest records the strikeout.
So 2 down. Here's Ernie Clement. 1 for 2 on the day with a run scored. The pitch. Outside, ball 1. Ernie with a good track record against the Detroit Tigers. Saw them a lot in his career. 1-0 pitch high, 2-0. Spending a lot of time with Cleveland before he was a Toronto Blue Jay. Clement came into this game batting .309 against the Tigers in his career. 17 for 55 in 21 games. 2-0. Called strike. Vest probably gets a break there on a pitch that looked a little outside. It's 2-1. Clement also has only one career multi-homer game, and it was against the Tigers as a member of the Guardians in 2021 at Comerica Park. 2-1. Hit on a line. Center field. Down for a hit. Turner getting the wave around third. Here comes the throw from Green. It bounces in late. It's an RBI single for Ernie Clement, and the Blue Jays take a 5-4 lead.
With 2 outs right there, Justin Turner moving right away on contact, and Riley Green's throw from center field was on line, but it wasn't strong enough to be able to cut down Turner. So the Blue Jays, on that Ernie Clement single, back ahead.
Dalton Varsho also went first to third on the play, so runners on the corners for the Blue Jays. For Clement, it's his 24th RBI of the season. And like you said, Blue Jays back on top. We're up 3-0. Trailed 4-3 after the grand slam. 2 RBI singles have changed that. Leo Jimenez up. The pitch. Outside, ball 1. That 5th run, by the way, is the last one that Montero was responsible for. The Turner leadoff single he allowed this inning. Jimenez lines the next pitch foul to the right side, 1-1. So Montero's day ends 5 1/3, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. Vest now responsible for both runners on first and third respectively with 2 down. 1-1. Outside, ball 2.
Meanwhile, in the Blue Jays bullpen, it looks as though Genesis Cabrera is ready.
Best kicks and delivers. And Jimenez pops it up back to the second baseman, Keith. Waving his arms on the shallow right center field turf, Keith makes the catch and ends the inning. Blue Jays come up with another run on 2 hits. Ernie Clement with an RBI single. Toronto leaves 2 on, but leads 5-4 going to the 7th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
If you're looking for a fun day, did you know the day before Monday? Junior J Sunday. You can paint your face, come and meet Ace and run base to base. On Junior J Sunday, so many things to do. You can bring your crew and even mom and dad too. Junior J Sunday.
Sundays are for Junior Jays. Get to the ballpark early to enjoy outdoor activities before continuing the fun inside while you cheer on the Blue Jays.
If you're feeling the song, grab your dad or mom, visit BlueJays.com. Junior J Sunday.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Strike 3. Kevin Gausman strikes out this side.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
7th inning at Rogers Center, and the Blue Jays back on top. 5-4 Toronto leads. Javier Baez batting for Detroit. Kevin Gausman still on the mound, delivers strike 1. I'm Ben Schulman. To my left is Ben Nicholson-Smith. Blue Jays trying to avoid a sweep here at home. The 0-1. Swing and a hot shot foul down the left field line. 0-2. A lot of time left in this game, Ben, but if the Blue Jays score 5 runs, they tend to win a decent amount of the time at least, and they're up 5-4 right now. 0-2. Swing and a fly ball right center field. Varsho giving it a chase into the right center field gap, makes the catch. 1 out.
And clearly Kevin Gausman nearing the end of the line. We'll see how long John Schneider lets him go here as he faces the number 9 hitter in the Tigers order for the 3rd time.
Gio Urshela is up. Wenzel Perez in the top of the order awaits on deck. 1 out, bases empty, top of the 7th. 5-4 Blue Jays, the pitch. Called strike. 0-1. By the way, some big news on the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. Michael King has no-hit the Guardians through 6 innings and only has thrown 70 pitches. 0-1. Low, 1-1. So perhaps an opportunity here for the former Yankee-turned-Padre King to etch his name into the books. I know Joe Musgrove was the first Padre to throw a no-hitter. I don't think they've had one since. 1-1 pitch is stroked to deep center field. Varsho going back into the shadows, turns at the wall and makes the catch. 2 down. Gausman with 2 outs and the top of the order coming around for the 4th time. And John Schneider walks out and makes the point over to the bullpen for the lefty Genesis Cabrera. A tough 5th, but outside of that, a strong start from Gausman, who certainly bounced back after the grand slam to help keep the Blue Jays in front, where they lead 5-4 right now with 2 outs in the top of the 7th. With nobody on, let's go to today's host. Here's Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben. Before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill, don't forget another reminder that we do have Jays Talk today. Nick Ashbourne is here at the Rogers Center. He and I have the post-game show. We'll take your calls and texts. I'll throw out the numbers for you to call after the final out, and you can text us as well, 590-590, name and location. The People's text line always open. Standard message and data rates may apply. All right, let's start with the Raptors. In Summer League action, one more game for the Toronto side after losing 109-73 to the Heat on Friday. They're 2-2 after that loss on Friday. It does mean they will not advance to the semis, as only the 4 top teams advance, but all teams that do not advance get an extra 5th game, which means the Raptors will play the Spurs at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific later tonight. Elsewhere in basketball, Canada's under-17 women's national team beating Spain 77-73 last night at the FIBA Under-17 World Cup. They went on a 13-3 run to open the fourth quarter and never looked back. It means they will play for gold tonight against the United States. Tip-off of that game goes at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. You can watch it on the FIBA YouTube channel. On the international basketball stage, elsewhere, another tune-up for the men's national Olympic squad. Canada taking on Puerto Rico. They win 103-93. Dylan Brooks with 21 points. Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Trey Lyles both with 15. Jamal Murray, meanwhile, had 4 assists and no points in 7 minutes of play, though he did not play the second half of this game. That's the final game for the men's team. The women's team will play 2 more. Australia on Tuesday, Spain on Wednesday. The opening ceremonies in Paris, meanwhile, will go on Friday. When you do see the opening ceremonies later this week, don't expect to see some of Canada's biggest medal hopefuls in the swim team. The 28 Canadian swimmers, along with many other swimmers, including the USA's Katie Ledecky, will not attend the opening ceremonies due to competition beginning the very next day. Blue Jays Baseball is brought to you by Crown Rest Protection. Back to the action we go. Here's Ben Shulman and Ben Nicholson-Smith.
Thank you, Show. 2 outs right now in the top of the 7th. Nobody on, and Yenisys Cabrera, the first reliever for the Blue Jays. The music just ran a little too long, so time is called, but Cabrera getting ready to face the top of the order hitter, Wenceel Perez, who's a switch hitter now turned around to bat right.
Great music, though.
It was good. It's pumping everyone up. Now Cabrera in the quiet delivers home and misses inside 1-0. 41st appearance of the season for Cabrera, a 3.62 earned run average. 26 strikeouts, 16 walks in just over 37 innings. Lefties 1-0. Perez hits it in the air, deep left field, going back Schneider to the track, stops, makes the catch, and ends the inning. Cabrera needs just 2 pitches to retire Perez, and at the 7th inning stretch, the Blue Jays hold a 5-4 lead. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
We're 2 men in a truck, the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikeys accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're 2 men in a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between pizza, and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
I am by your side. Got a heart so big, on this you can rely. No mountains too tall for the strong boots to climb. I am by your side.
That was Desjardins Insurance, playing insurance with a heart so big it shows. Tune in for your auto and home coverage at desjardins.com/heart.
I give you the world, but there's other planets too.
Hola, soy Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Está escuchando a Toronto Blue Jays Baseball en la radio de Sportsnet.
Bo Brisky into the game for the Detroit Tigers. 5-4, the Blue Jays lead the Tigers in the bottom of the 7th. Thanks so much for sticking around on this sunny Sunday in downtown Toronto. I'm Ben Shulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Top of the order for the Blue Jays, George Springer, Spencer Horwitz, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But all the headlines looking like they'll be about Springer right now after this game. 3 for 3 with 2 home runs and a double, 3 RBIs and 3 runs scored.
Ideal day at the plate for George Springer. He also made a great catch down the right field line. Big day for Springer.
Brisky into the wind, the pitch. Fastball, strike one. 21st appearance of the year for Brisky, a 4.5 earned run average and just under 32 innings of work. Pitched in game 1 of this series. Righty winds and delivers. Springer takes strike 2. In game 1, Brisky came in and did not get anybody out. Actually allowed a homer to Springer and gave up 2 runs in 0 innings technically of work. 0-2. Check swing, pitch down and away. Springer didn't go. It's 1-2. That was in the inning where the Blue Jays got the tying run on in the 8th in game 1, but Jason Foley came in and shut it down. 1-2. Swing and a miss by Springer. Strike 3. I don't think he foul tipped that, but rather the extra sound was it hitting the ground behind home plate. 1 down.
Nice job by Genesis Cabrera to help Kevin Gausman close out that 7th inning. With Colt Keith and Riley Green due up in the 8th, expecting to see Cabrera come back out.
Here's Spencer Horwitz for the Blue Jays, the pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Cabrera came in for the Blue Jays to end the top of the 7th. Got Wenceel Perez to fly out to left. Wave going around Rogers Center. Clockwise, here's the 0-1. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. It's another packed house here in Toronto. 1-1. In the dirt, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Great crowds all weekend. Good number of Tigers fans here as well, and a big day for the Tigers as Jim Leyland goes into the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Multiple-time manager of the year, including in 06 with Detroit. 2-1 pitches hit down the left field line, foul by Horwitz into the seats. 2-2. Players that went in, if you didn't see or hear already. Adrian Beltre went in to the Hall of Fame. Joe Mauer and Todd Helton. It's a pretty good class.
It's a great class.
Two balls and 2 strikes, 1 out and the base is empty. Brisky looking in. Now the right on left offering. High and tight, ball 3. Brisky is the 3rd Tiger pitcher today after Montero and Vest. Payoff pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Got Horwitz out in front on a change. And there are 2 down, back-to-back strikeouts for the righty.
Yeah, Brisky looking good right here. Horwitz off balance on that swing. And a couple of strikeouts.
That'll send up Vladimir Guerrero Jr. looking to get aboard for the first time today. 0 for 3.
Pretty good series, though.
Oh, yeah. Guerrero yesterday with 3 hits and a homer. The pitch. Down and away, ball 1. Vlad with the big day each of the last 2 days. Now leads the American League in RBIs and extra base hits since June 16th, which is a semi-random date, but if you lead the American League in RBIs and extra base hits in over a month span to any date, it's probably pretty good. The 1-0. Swinging a foul ball behind the plate, 1-1.
It's definitely a positive sign.
Yeah.
The dates might have been handpicked a little bit to work for Vladdy, but hey, there's no question he has been hitting well.
One, swing and a miss. Guerrero loses his bottom hand off the bat there on the swing. It's 1-2.
And I liked that the Blue Jays played him at third base yesterday. He's DHing today, of course, but just getting those extra reps, gaining that comfort. I think that's a good thing for the Blue Jays to do more regularly. I'm not advocating for a position change here, but mixing that in is a nice idea.
The wind and the 1-2. Loop down the right field line, slicing toward the line. It's a fair ball bouncing into the corner. Guerrero around first, diving into second head first with a double. And now he's revving the motorcycle back to the Blue Jay dugout. Even on a day where he hasn't squared it up much, Guerrero finding a way to pick up another extra base hit, his 21st double of the year.
We saw him go to the opposite field a few times yesterday, including for 2 singles. Now another hit down the right field line, just showing his complete coverage of the plate, his ability to hit to all fields, and of course, great slide into second base. Vladdy's slides into second are truly elite.
He slides in there like second base is going to run away from him as he's doing it. And now he's leading off second with Justin Turner at the plate. Turner's 1 for 3. Here's Brisky's pitch home. Hit foul high in the air down the right field line. 0-1. Blue Jays up 5-4. 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. The pitch. Fouled off to the right again in the air. 0-2. With no one still up in the Blue Jay pen, I think we could say your hunch is almost certainly right that Genesis Cabrera comes out with 2 out of the 3 guys scheduled to hit in the top of the 8th being left-handed hitters. You can also see Kevin Kiermaier moving around in the Blue Jay dugout, perhaps to sub in defensively. 0-2 to Turner, called strike 3. Looked a little off the plate outside, but Brisky gets the call, and he strikes out a trio of Blue Jays, a round of Vlad Guerrero Jr. double. Guerrero left on second. The Blue Jays still on top 5-4 as we go to the 8th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Before the USA Basketball Men's Olympic team headed to Paris, the team's managing director, Grant Hill, sat down for an exclusive town hall interview on SiriusXM NBA Radio, hosted by Coach K.
Coach, you've assembled rosters. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. I left people off that I love, that I'm a big, I want to tune in and watch. That was hard.
Hear our town hall interview with Grant Hill, hosted by Coach K, whenever you want with the all-new SiriusXM app. Just search Team USA.
I'm John Paul Morosi, host of the SiriusXM original podcast, The Road to Cooperstown. Each week, I talk with a Baseball Hall of Famer about the challenges they overcame to become an all-time great.
It is a hard game, and mentally it's hard.
My legs started shaking.
They pretty much knew I was going to have lung surgery after the season. I wasn't for sure. Would I ever play baseball again?
The Road to Cooperstown is the official podcast of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Episodes are available now on the all-new SiriusXM app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The best from MLS meet the top players from Mexico's Liga MX in the MLS All-Star Game, and it's on SiriusXM FC.
Ricky Pooch! Brilliant!
North America's brightest soccer stars will be showcasing their skills in Columbus.
Suarez into the 6 and through the leg!
It's MLS versus Liga MX in the 2024 MLS All-Star Game. Live coverage begins Wednesday at 8 Eastern on SiriusXM FC 157 and streaming on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Blue Jays fans, John Schneider joins MLB Network Radio every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern on SiriusXM 89 and the SiriusXM app.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
8th inning in Toronto. 5-4, the Blue Jays lead the Tigers. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Andy Ibanez pinch hits for Detroit and takes strike 1 from the lefty Genesis Cabrera. Ibanez in, Colt Keith out as A.J. Hinch avoids a left-on-left matchup with that sub. Here's the 0-1. Popped up, right side, foul. Now first baseman Spencer Horwitz near the visitors' dugout watches it hit off the netting and roll into the seats. 0-2.
Not only that, Ibanez has been so good against left-handed pitching this season. That's why he got the start against Yusei Kikuchi yesterday. So the Tigers hoping to get things started with a favorable matchup against Cabrera.
Hitting about .400 against lefties this year is Andy Ibanez. Cabrera in the set, ahead 0-2. Twists, delivers, and misses upstairs. Speaking of substitutions, Kevin Kiermaier is into the ball game for the Blue Jays. He is in and Justin Turner is out. A big shuffle of positions as Kiermaier goes to center. Varsho goes from center to left. Schneider from left to second, and Horwitz from second to first. 1-2, cut on and miss, strike 3. 96 miles an hour from Genesis Cabrera. He gets a swing and a miss from Ibanez, and that's a strikeout to start the 8th.
And now another right-handed hitter for Cabrera before the left-on-left matchup against Riley Green.
Justin Henry Malloy, whose grand slam is the reason the Tigers are in this ball game, and a 1-point lead. Left on right pitch. High and outside, ball 1. Malloy hit a 404-foot blast to left center field with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 5th. That put the Tigers up 4-3 at that point. Blue Jays now back on top, 5-4. Cabrera kicks, releases, and hits the zone to even up the count at 1-1. Riley Green is standing on deck. He's a tough guy to sub out even in a left-on-left situation. 1-1. Outside, 2-1. There are some good right-handed hitters on the bench right now for Detroit. Still Jake Rogers, Mark Canha, and Matt Vierling. Cabrera waves off a sign and he's going to step off. That means Jansen's got to call time to avoid a pitch clock violation and go out and talk to Genesis Cabrera on the mound. Good time to let you know that this copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership or the Sportsnet Radio Network. Jansen back behind the plate in the crouch. 1 out, bases empty. 5-4 Blue Jays, top of the 8th. The 2-1 pitch. Malloy swings and grounds it foul. Past Joey Cora, third base coach for the Tigers. It's 2-2.
It's a big spot for Genesis Cabrera right here with Chad Green warming up behind him. Looks like Chad Green would be the closer for the Blue Jays today.
2-2. High, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
And some frustration from Genesis Cabrera. He smacks his glove after seeing that pitch land where it did.
It's a 97-mile-per-hour four-seamer, but about eye high against Malloy. Payoff pitch. Oh, called a ball. It was close. Cabrera spinning and bouncing off the mound. That's a borderline pitch I think could go either way. I think in a challenge system world, that's a strikeout, but it was pretty close.
On the bottom edge of the strike zone, could go either way. As you said, Cabrera bouncing around on the mound. He really wanted that call. Very demonstrative right here this afternoon.
Because now that brings the go-ahead run to the plate, too, after the walk. Here's Riley Green. First pitch fastball in there at the knees. Green is 0 for 2 with a walk, a flyout, and a ground out. 5-4 Blue Jays, runner on first and 1 out. Cabrera stares at Malloy. Now the pitch. Called strike, 0-2. From the fastball, he slowed it down to the cutter.
Cabrera, not a reliever with pinpoint command. That is not his game, but he has live stuff that is tough to square up.
2-strike pitch. Misses down and away.
Right there, that's a non-competitive pitch out of the hand. No chance Riley Green is swinging at that.
It was a cutter that broke over the righty batter's box. Danny Jansen got out of his crouch to keep that in front of him and keep Justin Henry Malloy, the guy who just walked, at first base. Malloy held on by Horwitz. 1-2. Down and away again. This one a little bit more competitive, but still looked like a miss early on, 2-2.
That's a good two-strike pitch by Genesis Cabrera.
Blue Jays fans trying to give him some support here in the 8th. 2-2 count. Cabrera kicks, fires, and misses up and in. Full count. Carson Kelly is the on-deck hitter. Riley Green at the plate with a runner on first. Cabrera staring at Malloy, the runner. The 3-2. Swing and a liner. Left field, base hit. 2 hops and into the glove of Dalton Varsho. Up to second base, Malloy. So that brings the tying run into scoring position, and now the go-ahead run, Riley Green, is on first after a single.
I wonder if the Jays make a change here or stick with Cabrera. It's right on that edge, because if you go to Chad Green now, you're asking him to get potentially 5 outs.
John Schneider walking out of the dugout, and he will go to Chad Green here. First and second, right-handed hitting Carson Kelly coming up, and Genesis Cabrera's day is over. He gets 1 out in the 7th and 1 out in the 8th, gives up a hit and a walk, and the Blue Jays lead 5-4 with 2 on, and again 1 out in the top of the 8th inning. Let's go back to today's host. Here's Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben. Don't forget, before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill, we do have Jays Talk today. Nick Ashbourne is here at the Rogers Center. He and I have the post-game show. We will take your calls and texts. I'll throw out the numbers for you to call after the final out. You can text us as well, 590-590, name and location. That's the People's Text Line. The People's Text Line always open. Standard message and data rates may apply. All right, let's check the out-of-town scoreboard. Brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. A couple of finals in some other sports, in case you missed these from earlier this morning. In the world of golf, we do have a major tournament this weekend, or we did, I suppose, the 152nd Open Championship. Xander Schauffele, this year's winner of the Claret Jug. He shot a 65 in his final round to finish at 9 under to win the tournament. It's his second major win of the year after winning the PGA Championship back in May. It's the first sweep of major championships by U.S. golfers since 1982 and the 7th consecutive U.S.-born golfer won major, the longest streak in 47 years. It's also the largest purse in the event's history, $17 million, which leaves Schauffele with a nice $3.1 million after these past 4 days. In Hungary this morning, the Hungarian Grand Prix was in action. McLaren's Oscar Piastri winning his first F1 race. His teammate Lando Norris placing second. Finishing third is Lewis Hamilton. Gets on the podium for the 200th time. Canada's Lance Stroll, meanwhile, finishing 10th today for Aston Martin. Some scores from around Major League Baseball. The Rays now lead the Yankees 5-0. Jose Siri going yard, a 2-run bomb. Randy Arozarena, his 15th home run of the year after hitting 2 yesterday. They lead the Yankees 5-0. The Twins lead the Brewers 5-4. Bottom of the 6th inning. The Phillies leading the Pirates right now 5-0. And the Mets trail the Marlins 3-2. Blue Jays baseball is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Back to the action we go. Chad Green on the mound. Here's Ben Shulman and Ben Nicholson-Smith.
Thank you, Show. The former Tigers draft pick, Chad Green, into the game with first and second and 1 out. His first pitch to Carson Kelly, a slider for strike 1. Blue Jays are up 5-4, top of the 8th inning. But on second, Justin Henry Malloy is the tying run, and on first, Riley Green, the go-ahead run. Chad Green looks back at second, pitches home. Down and away, ball 1. Green, once drafted by the Blue Jays in the 37th round out of high school, was picked by the Tigers in the 11th round out of Louisville in 2013. Traded before making the majors for Justin Wilson to the Yankees. 1-1 pitch hit in the air, deep left field. Going back, Varsho at the wall, leaping up, makes the grab! Both runners hold. That's the second out of the inning. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. out of the dugout, tipping his cap. Danny Jansen had his hands in the air behind home plate. Dalton Varsho might have just saved the game.
That's a phenomenal catch by Dalton Varsho. Looked like a home run off the bat, but Varsho able to get back to the wall, time his jump perfectly, reach up and save an extra base hit. A huge play by a player who just moved to left field a couple moments ago. He was playing center for most of the game.
I don't know if TrackMan and Hawkeye are having an error, but how about catch probability 0? It says right now for Dalton Varsho.
Sounds about right.
2 down, Bly Madrish is up, and the first pitch is high, ball 1. Still work to do here for Chad Green after that fantastic Varsho catch. Runners on first and second, 2 outs, 5-4 Blue Jays, top of the 8th. Green tucks the ball into his glove, chest high. The righty rocks and delivers. Swing and a pop-up, just back of third. Ernie Clement onto the shallow left field turf, twisting and turning, makes the catch off to his left and ends the inning. How about Dalton Varsho? A phenomenal play in left helps Chad Green get the 2 outs he needs to send us to the bottom of the 8th. 5-4 Blue Jays lead. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center. Streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
I am by your side. Got a heart so big, on this you can rely. No mountains too tall for the strong boots to climb. I am by your side.
That was Desjardins Insurance, playing insurance with a heart so big it shows. Tune in for your auto and home coverage at desjardins.com/heart.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
It's a bases clearing double for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa
on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you, the one that's watching the Toronto Blue Jays game with us. Come on, hit that subscribe button. If you're a Blue Jays fan, if you're a sports fan, hit that subscribe button. Let's help grow this amazing community. It's insane. We just over 7-8 months ago, we were sitting at 6,000 subscribers, made it all the way up to 31,000 because of you. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell so that you don't miss any of our awesome Toronto sports action. Appreciate it. Thank you all for hitting that subscribe button and becoming an insider and part of this community. We'll see you guys in the chat. Let's go Blue Jays.
Prepared in case they were to tie it in the 9th. Maybe a combination.
Yeah, that would be my read.
1-2. Check swing. Peel down to first. He did go around, says first base umpire Corey Blazer. Jansen strikes out, and here comes Dalton Varsho, who last inning scaled the wall and left, leaping up to take away extra bases from Carson Kelly.
Just a tremendous catch. Best catch we've seen this series. One of many that Dalton Varsho's made this season, so it's really tough to compare one great Dalton Varsho catch against the other, but it was a great effort.
Varsho also having a solid day at the plate. Here's the pitch from Brisky. It's hit foul, 0-1. Varsho 1 for 2 with a single and a walk.
Brisky has pitched well so far today, so if he continues cruising, no need to go to Foley. But if he runs into trouble, I could see Foley coming in right here.
Right on left pitch. Strike 2. A.J. Hinch avoided using Foley yesterday in the Tigers win, so he's well rested, although they don't have a day off coming up. They go right to Cleveland for 4 straight. 0-2. Outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Foley's not as good on back-to-backs either, so probably a good idea to give him a day off. And the Tigers do have some relievers down today after Faedo threw 35 pitches. Tyler Holton's pitched a couple days in a row.
1-2. Swing and a miss. 5 strikeouts in 6 batters faced for Bo Brisky. And there are 2 down. That'll send up Davis Schneider with 2 outs and the bases empty in the bottom of the 8th inning. Speaking of bullpens, by the way, no action in the Blue Jays bullpen, so that all but confirms that Chad Green is going to try and pull off a 5-out save. Pitch to Schneider, called strike at 96, 0-1.
And just 5 pitches thrown by Chad Green to record those first 2 outs, so should be fine heading into that 9th inning.
The wind in the 0-1. A little bit upstairs, 1 ball, 1 strike. Scheduled hitters in the top of the 9th are the bottom 3 in the Tiger order, McKinstry, Baez, Urshela, but 3 pretty significant bats on the bench. 1-1. Swing and a hard hit ball left field, base hit. That was a good liner off the bat of Davis Schneider, who has 2 hits today.
Yeah, a couple singles for Davis Schneider trying to get that back going, and he has been better of late, so an encouraging sign for the Blue Jays offense.
And A.J. Hinch is not going to let this go any further with the Blue Jays having an opportunity to add on here. He'll take the ball from Bo Brisky and go to his most often used closer, Jason Foley, coming out of the Tiger pen to try and finish off the 8th inning with Ernie Clement scheduled to hit next. Stick around, filling in the time when Foley warms up. Here's today's host, Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben. Before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, another reminder that we do have Jays Talk. I see some texts here already for Nick Ashbourne and myself, so we'll continue taking those, continue taking your calls as well. I'll throw out the numbers for you to call after the final out. And again, if you want to shoot us a text, 590-590, name and location. The People's text line, always open. Standard message and data rates may apply. All right, let's check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. A reminder that in Summer League action, if you're a Raptors fan, one more game for them in Sin City. They'll take on the San Antonio Spurs at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So that's in about, 3 hours from now. Watch that on NBA TV. Canada's under-17 women's national team beat Spain 77-73 last night at the FIBA Under-17 World Cup. It means they will play for a gold medal tonight against the United States. Tip-off of that game. It's a little bit later, but it goes at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, and you can watch it on the FIBA YouTube channel online. In case you missed this, on the international basketball stage elsewhere, another tune-up for the men's national Olympic squad. Canada beating Puerto Rico 103-93. Dylan Brooks with 21 points to lead the way. That is the final game for the men's team before the Olympics get going. It means they'll take on Greece to start the tournament on July 27th. The women's national team actually do have 2 more exhibition games. They'll take on Australia on Tuesday, July 23rd, and Spain on July 24th. The opening ceremonies in Paris will go on Friday. Blue Jays baseball is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get you back to the action. Here's Ben Schulman and Ben Nicholson-Smith.
Thank you, Show. Jason Foley, the tall, long-haired righty in with 2 outs and a runner on first. Bottom of the 8th. 5-4 Blue Jays. Foley pitches to Ernie Clement. Swing and a fly ball towering down the left field line and into the seats. 0-1. Davis Schneider is the runner on first after his second hit of the day, and another guy with 2 hits is Ernie Clement, the batter, whose single in the 6th inning is the difference in this 5-4 game. The 0-1. Schneider takes off. Clement shows bunt, and he pulls it back. It skips all the way to the backstop. Davis Schneider will get a stolen base on the play as he was already running. And Ernie Clement avoiding taking an unnecessary strike there as well. So it's a 1-1 count on the ball. No wild pitch because for Schneider it's a stolen base.
And a nice development for the Blue Jays to have Schneider in scoring position with a guy in Ernie Clement who hits a lot of singles.
4th stolen base of the season for Schneider. 1-1. Clement takes, called strike 2. Schneider leading off of second. Andy Ibanez, the new second baseman, tapping his glove close to him. 1-2 pitch. Downstairs, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Foley wiping some sweat off his face with his jersey. 39th appearance for the righty. 3.41 earned run average in over 34 innings. A look at second. Foley's 2-2. Swing and a foul ball off to the right into the seats.
That pitch, a slider from Foley. A lot of sinkers in the upper 90s from this right-hander. And Clement's already seen a few of those.
Two. Down and away with one of those hard fastballs at 98, but a big miss, and it's a full count. Clement taps the plate. A check swing, and he looks out at Foley with the bat high above his head. 3-2 pitch. Swing and a fly ball hooking down the left field line near the corner. Foul ball. Just a few feet from extra bases and another run scored, but Clement takes the long jog back through the diamond. Schneider, who had come all the way to the plate, hands him his bat back and swaps places with Clement, who was right near second.
A very close call as Clement got a slider and just pulled it down the left field line. That would have given the Blue Jays a very valuable insurance run, but instead, Schneider back at second base.
Another 3-2. Low ball 4. Rare walk for Ernie Clement. And he is down to first base. 2 runners on here for Leo Jimenez.
It is hard to walk Ernie Clement. It is hard to strike Ernie Clement out. But in this case, Foley was not at the strike zone nearly enough. And as a result, he's getting a visit from Chris Fetter, the pitching coach.
It's Clement's 5th walk of the season in over 200 plate appearances. Like you mentioned, Chris Fetter there out to talk with Foley. Blue Jays up 5-4. Clement on first, Schneider on second. Jimenez, who went 0-for-3 yesterday, is 0-for-3 so far today. Fetter turns around and starts walking back toward the Tiger dugout. Hot start has cooled a little bit for the 23-year-old middle infielder Jimenez, but a big spot here as he steps in and taps the inside part of home plate. Twirls the bat high in the sky, now raises it above his right shoulder. Foley peeks at second. The pitch to Jimenez. Strike 1. Infield plays a little bit to the pull for the right-handed hitter. Nothing crazy. 0-1. Swing and a fly ball center field. On the run, Green cuts it off in left center and squeezes it to end the inning. A hit and a walk for the Blue Jays. No runs. 2 runners left on base, and we go to the top of the 9th. 5-4. Toronto leads Detroit. Chad Green trying to save this game when we come back. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Get closer to stand-up comedy with SiriusXM.
Thank you.
Round-the-clock stand-up, every style and taste.
The crowd thought I was doing it on purpose. They was like, oh!
All-time comedy greats.
I think I just stumbled upon feminism.
And new voices working the clubs today.
I don't even know what it feels like to not have some lady be like, I don't.
Cheers, Insiders. How we doing today? The Blue Jays are back. The All-Star break is over. Thank you all for being here as our Blue Jays take on the Tigers. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and let's hang out and have some fun with this Blue Jays game today against the Detroit Tigers. Hopefully, the Jays can get a run going here, and we can maybe get back into the playoff picture. Other than that, we're selling at the deadline. Appreciate every one of you being here. Back to the baseball. Go Jays, go. Cheer loud, and we'll see you in the chat.
On SiriusXM Channel 89 and every morning on the SiriusXM app.
The Busted Open podcast is now available on YouTube. This is Dave LaGreca, host of Busted Open, the #1 pro wrestling show on the planet. You can now watch and listen to the award-winning Busted Open podcast every single day on YouTube. Our best interviews, behind-the-scenes access, and some of our best content from the past. All available right now when you go to youtube.com/@BustedOpenPodcast. Subscribe right now.
Fantasy football players, learn winning strategies right now on Fantasy Sports Radio to help you draft a winning team on Channel 87 and on the SiriusXM app.
Network.
Top of the ninth inning in Toronto. Chad Green on the mound. And the first pitch to Zach McKinstry is in there. Strike one. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. 5-4. The Blue Jays lead the Tigers. The 0-1. Swinging a fly ball out to left field. Playable for Varsho. In some shade near the corner. Backs up, makes the catch. One down.
For Varsho, routine, especially compared to the play he made a couple batters ago.
Varsho with a leaping catch to start Green's outing. Up against the left center field wall. Now Javier Baez up to the plate. Chad Green 3 outs into this appearance, looking for a 5-out save. Righty kicks, delivers home, and Baez hits it weakly on the ground to short. Charging in Jimenez. Pumps, throws on to first in time. 2 outs and 3 pitches this inning. Chad Green searching for his 18th career save. He's 6 for 6 this year in save opportunities for the Blue Jays.
And the Blue Jays really like being able to turn to Chad Green. Jimmy Garcia just coming back from the injury that sidelined him from June 18th up until yesterday. So they don't want to rush him into a back-to-back situation, and they have full confidence in Chad Green to record big outs just like these.
Gio Urshela will bat as the Tigers' final chance with the fans on their feet in Toronto. Green kicks in, delivers the first pitch. Strike one. Blue Jays led early today. George Springer with his 58th career leadoff home run, and then another homer in the third gave Toronto an early 3-0 advantage. 0-1 pitch is just outside. Tigers, though, struck back. A grand slam in the 5th inning made it 4-3 before Horwitz and Clement RBI singles, and the 5th and 6th respectively gave Toronto the lead. 1-1 down and away by Green, who's fallen behind 2 balls and 1 strike to Urshela. Chad Green trying to pull off his longest appearance of the year, has not gone an inning and 2/3 yet. 2-1 pitch. Hit foul by his former teammate Gio Urshela. It's 2-2. $38,766 on their feet with 2 outs. The 2-2 just outside. And it might have been in there, but according to Jeremy Riggs, just outside, full count. How is the slider for Green? What does he go to on 3-2? The pitch. Hit in the air, right field. Springer racing back to the track, slowing up, makes the catch, and the Blue Jays win the game. 5-4, they outlast the Tigers, and they avoid the sweep on a big day for George Springer and a big day for Horwitz, Clement, and Schneider as well.
George Springer bouncing around in the outfield right now with Kiermaier and Varsho after really one of his best days as a Blue Jay in 2024. This is his first leadoff home run of the season, a multi-home run game, a great catch in right field, even a double and a run scored later in the game. He was powering everything that the Blue Jays were doing in this one. And look, it hasn't happened enough for George Springer this season, but today he was everything that they could have hoped for and the driving force behind this win.
Toronto wins 5-4. We'll take a quick break and wrap it up on the other side before getting you over to Blue Jays talk with Joe Ali and Nick Ashbourne. Don't go anywhere. Blue Jays win 5-4. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Carnival is at the core of Toronto culture. Stand out in the crowd with your Blue Jays neon hat giveaway. The colors, the music, the heat, the vibes.
I don't know who's having more fun, the players or the fans.
Be at Rogers Center as the Blue Jays celebrate Caribbean Carnival and create core memories of summer in the city.
Everybody's feeling good right now.
Arrive early on Friday, July 26th and claim your Blue Jays neon hat. Blue Jays Caribbean Carnival. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
We're twomeninatruck.ca. We've got lots of men and lots of trucks, so get ready to be moved.
Think 2 men in a truck, 2 men in a truck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day, Think 2 men in a truck, 2 men in a truck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2 men in a truck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between pizza and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
He dived and he made the catch.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
What's up, insiders? This community continues to grow like crazy, all because of you guys sharing this link out on the social networks, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, however you have it. And check us out while you're at it, and make sure to drop a follow at TS_insider on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Thank you guys for your support in building this community. Let's make it even bigger and even better as we head into hockey season coming up in a couple of months. We'll see you guys in the chat. Go Blue Jays, go.
It was okay overall. He started really well, and his velocity was up a little bit, averaging a touch over 94 with his fastball. Look, this isn't the best offense that you're going to find, but he did contain them through 4 innings. And then, of course, he ran into trouble in the 5th. A couple of walks. You just can't do that against an offense that you should be attacking, throwing strikes against, and that led to the grand slam by Justin Henry Malloy. So clearly a pitch that frustrated Gausman in the moment and cost the Blue Jays and made this game closer than it probably had to be. But I still thought there were positives here for Kevin Gausman, just an inning that got away from him in the 5th.
Blue Jays, rather, started their offensive day early, very early. It started with their leadoff hitter, today's player of the game, George Springer. 3-2 count to Springer, the wind in the offering. Hit well, left field, McKinstry back, at the track, looking up, see you later. Another lead-off home run for George Springer, his 58th career, and it's 1-0 Blue Jays. 2-1. Swing and a fly ball. Left center field. Curling back McKinstry at the wall. That ball's gone! Another home run for George Springer, and the Blue Jays take a 3-0 lead.
A couple of huge swings for George Springer right there, including his 58th leadoff home run, and he would later add on even more with a double to left field. So just an absolutely phenomenal offensive performance from George Springer, a vintage game. This is the kind of game that the Blue Jays signed George Springer for. Of course, they would hope that this would come in a season where they were competing. Not the case this year, but the Blue Jays still managed to avoid the sweep at the hands of the Detroit Tigers and win for the 45th time this season, thanks in large part to what George Springer could do at the plate.
Yeah, with a little bit of kudos as well to the game-tying single by Spencer Horwitz in the 5th. Ernie Clement's eventual game-winning single in the 6th as he knocked in the go-ahead run, and a phenomenal defensive play from Dalton Varsho in the 8th inning to help Chad Green to a 5-out save. Green and Cabrera combined for 2 1/3 scoreless out of the Blue Jay pen. Tigers come up with 4 runs today on 6 hits, no errors, and 5 left. For the Blue Jays, 5 runs today, 11 hits, no errors, 7 left on base. Gausman gets the win to go to 8-8 for Cater Montero. It's a loss. 1-3 is now his record. Chad Green, 7 for 7 in save opportunities. For the 3rd straight day, more than 38,000 turned out to the ballpark. This was a quick one, 2 hours and 26 minutes on a sunny day in downtown Toronto, and the Blue Jays win 5-4 to go to 45-54. Tigers still trying to find that elusive 500. They're now 49-51. Ben, a pleasure working with you on the weekend. We'll have you back later in the year.
Yes, that is the plan. Looking forward to it. Always fun to be back here, and definitely a fun one today, so thanks.
Thank you for joining us, everyone who listened. For our technical directors, Andrew Adams and Tom Young, our producer, Nick Blackmore, our host, Joe Ali, and my partner, Ben Nicholson-Smith. I'm Ben Schulman. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the day off. We'll see you on Tuesday when the Blue Jays open up against the Tampa Bay Rays. But don't leave just yet. Time to get your texts and calls in. Blue Jays Talk with Show Ali and Nick Ashbourne starts right now.
Break down the stretch here today at the Rogers Center, and of course George Springer with 2 absolute missiles into the seats there. So I think, you know what, I don't think this changes anyone's minds necessarily, but again, I think it's fun to enjoy the victories when they come, and we talked about that in the pregame show, but a lot of great or maybe fun individual performances, even if ultimately it's not going to change the direction of the season. But Varsho, Gausman gets off the hook, Springer, it was a fun game.
Springer in particular, right? Like both of those early game home runs, it had a lot of difficulty scoring early in games in the last little bit. He gets them going there. He had 10 total bases today. The rest of the team combined for 9. It was one of his better outings as a Blue Jay, to be honest.
Yeah.
And over the last couple of months, he has been, one of the better hitters in baseball, as crazy as that sounds to say. And it's been efforts like this. It's the power that's come through. Early in the season, it's not like he was striking out all the time. He was taking his walks, but there just didn't seem to be power in that bat. And the thump has returned for George Springer.
That is Nick Ashbourne. I'm Show Ali. You're listening to Jays Talk live on the Sportsnet Radio Network. We're also streaming on sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet app. Give us a call, 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. You can text us as well, 590-590, name and location. The People's Text line, always open. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. Yeah, George Springer. I think the interesting thing with Springer, Nick, is considering we were discussing someone who was providing, I would say generally speaking, a net negative for most of the year in terms of offensive production. Because I don't think his defensive play never really fell off at any point, I would say. Even when he was really struggling offensively, he was throwing the body around out there. He was diving. He was covering tons of ground. He was doing all the things you'd expected from him. So that the right field play had never really fallen off for him. So I'll give him credit for that. But I think that he now, after the terrific couple weeks you were talking about there, that he now is even at league average production, on the season as a whole, I actually think is pretty impressive considering where he was in the hole to start the whole season. I mean, there was a point near the end of June, mid-June, end of June, where he was dead last in all of Major League Baseball, in both the AL and the NL, when it came to OPS from qualified hitters. So he was sitting at around an OPS of 566 towards mid-end of June. And now, his OPS is not amazing now, but it's sitting around 700 after the second home run. That's pretty wild, I would say.
Yeah, he was one of the least productive hitters in the major leagues, and he was hitting sometimes in the lineup, he'd be 5th or 6th or even 7th, and people would say, put him lower or take him out of the lineup entirely. And now he's someone who's carrying this offense. I think it kind of goes to show that we need a little bit of humility when we watch and analyze this game. So many people were saying, smart people who know baseball, that George Springer looked washed up. It looked like he was done. It looked like there was nothing left in the tank. And he's able to come out and surprise everyone over a relatively long span, like a over 20 game type of span. And again, be, for a short period of time, albeit, one of the better hitters in the entire sport. It just kind of goes to show how quickly things can turn on a dime and how we probably shouldn't be overconfident with our takes, especially early in the season.
You remember when Springer was struggling and he, especially when it almost felt like you couldn't anymore say, oh, he needs to be in the lineup all the time. He needs to be the leadoff hitter. And there's been I feel like a couple of different conversations we had about Springer this year. Like it was when he was leadoff, it's okay, move him down in the order. He can't be in the leadoff spot anymore. Then it was he needs to be batting near the bottom of the order. Then it was he needs to be on the bench, right? Like that. Those were separate conversations I feel like we had over the span of like 2 months essentially to start the season. And I remember when we got to the point where the conversation had taken the turn, Nick, towards, okay, Springer needs to be not playing, he needs to be on the bench more often than he is in the lineup. Remember, so John Schneider would be asked about it like on a near daily basis, essentially, whether it was pregame, whether it was postgame. And I feel like I heard him say a bazillion times, like, hey, well, we get access to data that the fans don't or that media doesn't. We get to see all the little things, and we believe it's turning. We believe it's turning. And I think that a lot of people, and this is a conversation you and I have had before, felt that it was like almost they were being too slavish to like certain metrics and so on, which, I mean, you can criticize them, I think, for that absolutely fairly. But I do think it's funny because now that Springer's turned around, honestly, like I'm not speaking for John Schneider. I'm really only speaking for myself. If I was in that position, I would be the smuggest person in the whole wide world. I'm actually impressed that he hasn't said anything to be super smug about it, because you got to think that behind the scenes, a lot of them are like, yeah, like we told you so, right? I mean, and again, they're not right on a lot of things, because those things are super hard to predict. But it's just when it's kind of like when you make a bet and you get a million wrong and you make the one right, and then you feel really good about it and you brag about it on social media. I feel like that's kind of where it is. But I just was thinking about that the other day.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's a lot John Schneider gets to be smug about these days in terms of where this team is in the standing. So maybe you'll take that one. I will say that what Springer's doing right now is beyond the imagine. Like, there was nothing under the surface that indicated something like this was happening. I don't care if you're looking at metrics that the general public can't see. Like, this is beyond the wildest imagination of where the team thought he would go. And so I'm sure they do feel vindicated in the sense that being patient with him was the right move, although partly due to the fact they didn't have great alternatives, to be honest. So being patient with him was definitely the right move overall, but what he's doing now is just beyond anything you could have reasonably predicted.
Let's go to the text line. There's a text here I want to read you, because this is something I was thinking about. And people have texted about this a couple times, Nick, when it comes to Springer. This is from Jeff in Burlington. 590-590, name and location is the text line, by the way. It's where you can reach us. Jeff in Burlington says, has Springer done enough in the last few weeks to warrant calls from other teams? With that contract, I doubt we get a lot, but would we be able to clear the entire contract? And I think there was another text. Oh, yeah, Mike from the Hammer. Only way I can see Atkins keeping his job if he can trade Springer without eating salary. I think the eating salary part of any discussion when it comes to Springer is the most interesting part of it, right? Because he's owed a lot of money. It's 25. It's prorated, obviously, for this year, but 2 more seasons on the books at $25 million a year. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. I mean, there was another guy on the field today for the Tigers, and Javi Baez, and you kind of wish that, I'm sure the Tigers wish they could eat that or trade that contract without having to eat a lot of the money. But I guess I would be surprised if there were any takers for George Springer. Even what he's doing now is phenomenal, right? I'm not knocking him for it. It's just, it's a lot of money, right? I think there's still a question mark as to what he will be next season when he's a little bit older, and he got off to such a tough start this year. And again, he's not going to do what he's been doing for the last 2 weeks or 20 games or wherever you want to make the cutoff. But he's not going to do this over the course of probably the rest of the season, because no hitter, not even Shohei Ohtani's doing what George Springer is doing right now. So he'll probably cool off to a certain extent. I think that's fair to say, but I would be surprised, I guess, Nick, if there was anyone willing to eat that entire contract because of the age and length remaining.
The fact there's 2 more years makes a big difference here. If he had been this good and this hot, maybe over a slightly longer period of time, and a team thought, oh, we'll take him now while he's hot and we'll ride it out this year, and then next year we'll see what happens and we'll figure it out, I could sort of see that. But he's less than 2 months from turning 35 right now, and to take him for 2 more seasons beyond this year, that's a tall order. So I think maybe next year, if he's really continues to be pretty strong and good next year, and the Blue Jays maybe aren't competing, maybe you could trade 1.5 years of Springer. He is one of the most accomplished postseason hitters of all time. Like, that's something that teams care about and they consider, even in a world where people like their big sample sizes. But as you say, the age and the contract, it just makes it complicated.
416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Eddie in Fort Erie. Eddie, what's up?
Today.
Hey, Eddie, sorry. Start over. I didn't hear what you said.
Hey, gentlemen, how's it going?
Oh, hey, no, going well, Eddie. Always fun when we can discuss a win, right?
Absolutely. I have some thoughts about the game and about Springer. I was listening to the text about Springer, and you know what? The Blue Jays, it kind of took away what I was going to say, but I think the Blue Jays have a lot of options in front of them when it comes to Springer. I mean, they could either, keep him for next year, put him in the outfield, because, he obviously made some great catches today on that running catch, and then the final out and that leaping catch on the first pitch of the game. Or they could, put him as a DH for next season, or like some of the texters said, what will it take to get him off the books? So they have some options, and it'll be interesting to see what goes on from there. And I just wanted to add on to that, because when I see the Blue Jays obviously looking ahead to 2025, you always wonder who's going to be in their plans. Like when you see Springer play good lately, and obviously another one today was Ernie Clement. I mean, when I see Clement, and when I see Clement playing lately, it's like he's playing as if it's spring training, where he was basically playing for his life just to get on the team. And I kind of see that, right now with him. And one last thing, Show. I know I said a few weeks ago that I thought Varsho should have been an all-star. I know that was a stretch. I'll admit that. But he's got to win a Gold Glove this year. I mean, that guy has put himself through everything, like crashing into a wall and making great plays. I mean, it's almost like his number had been called or something. And you know what? I hope he does, because if not, he's going to get the Kevin Pillar treatment, where he makes great plays year after year after year and doesn't get a Gold Glove. So that's what I'm hoping for him after this season's over.
All right, Eddie, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you joining us on Jays Talk as always. Okay, so we talked about Springer, Varsho, and Clement. I will say this, Nick. If Varsho doesn't win a Gold Glove this year, that is like downright criminal. Honestly, like he has been. And am I going to pretend that I watch every single outfielder in the rest of baseball? Like, no. But when it comes to the American League, I mean, there's got to be, like 1 or 2 other guys who are even in the same conversation as him, and like one of those guys probably Kevin Kiermaier, right? So honestly, like, it's not even a slight against the other outfielders in baseball. I do worry, I suppose, to a certain extent, that what will hurt Varsho is that when he plays, he splits a lot, as he did today. He splits time at 2 different positions, right? So versus a guy who plays every single game in center field, versus Varsho, who plays, like some games in center, some games in left. In games like today, he's plays both positions essentially. I know that doesn't really matter. I don't think there's an actual number that he has to hit in order to actually be eligible, for example. But when it comes to the Gold Glove awards, but I just. You see the kinds of things he does today, and he makes them look so routine, I think is the thing. I think you look at outfield play, and he had a play yesterday too where he kind of sped up on a ball that it was hit to him, and I think in left field, and he took a nice route to the ball and snagged it. And he makes plays look like routine flyouts that are anything but. I mean, that ball off of Kelly's bat, 102.7 miles an hour, and an expected batting average of 620, would have been a home run in 12 of 20 ballparks, and would have easily scored a run, maybe even 2, based on how things were going. So I was impressed. I got to say, that's just another thing with Varsho. His offense, it leaves a lot to be desired, but I mean, you can't say enough positive things about the defense.
There is absolutely no doubt that he deserves a Gold Glove. He is simply, whether you want to look at the advanced metrics, where you want to watch him on a consistent day-to-day basis, he is one of the best fielders in the majors at any position. I think he's fascinating to watch because a lot of times when you see these elite defensive outfielders, it's just they can run like the wind, and they just get to places that other guys can't get to.
Right.
And Varsho can run, but his speed is not elite. What makes him so good is that when he gets in the general vicinity of the ball, he just finds a way to complete the catch. And that's a rare skill set. Again, normally a guy like Kiermaier runs incredibly fast and he throws the ball hard, and it's very simple to understand what makes him a good outfielder. Varsho, it's more cerebral and it's more, clutch is a weird way to think about fielding, but that's kind of what he is. You don't see a lot of balls get by him when he's in the area, and they absolutely need to find a way to get him a Gold Glove. He's also someone who's going through salary arbitration, and those type of awards make a difference for him,
That's
too.
true. Yeah.
So if he wins a Gold Glove, that could be a little bit of extra in his bank account this year and next year as he goes through arbitration. So I'm sure it's something that's on him and his agent's mind.
And I know people are like, "Oh, what about the utility position?" So I don't think it's a formal definition, but I think the utility position, it's only existed for 2 years, so I suppose they could kind of do whatever they want, but I think it's largely given to guys who bounce around at different positions, right? And again, I think that does actually describe Dalton Varsho because he does play a couple different positions. But, just to look at the two winners of the utility award at Gold Glove since it has existed, with DJ LeMahieu in 2022, and last year was Mauricio Dubon. And those guys who play a bazillion positions, essentially, right? So I kind of wonder, I think in Dubon's case, too, he plays the outfield, he plays the infield. DJ LeMahieu, kind of feels weird to have a conversation about DJ LeMahieu being this utility Gold Glover given where he is in his career, but that's just a part of getting older and injuries and so on. But I don't know. If they wanted to, I feel like they probably could make it. There's a way to get Dalton Varsho a Gold Glove this year because he deserves it. I really hope it happens because he absolutely deserves it. To Eddie's other point on Ernie Clement, he had the RBI single to take the lead, bottom of the 6th inning. He's not presently an everyday player, Nick, but going back to the beginning of that road trip the Jays took before the All-Star break, 10 hits, 9 RBI, including 2 home runs. He's batting .286. He has an OPS of about .812. So all those numbers actually do not include today's outing, which was a successful one for him. So I'm assuming they'll look even better after today. But I do wonder, in your eyes, about Clement deserving to take a larger role, at least as long as IKF is out. Because when IKF is in, you can add IKF to the conversation of third base, who plays at third, who plays at short, who plays at second, really. He can kind of do it all himself. But if he's out and he doesn't seem that close to returning with the knee injury, they're going to be cautious with him. But if that's the case, I do wonder if Clement should take a larger role. And I don't know if we're everyday player status quite yet, but he should probably play more often than not.
Clement is the type of player they should be giving looks to. He's not, strictly speaking, a prospect. He's bounced around a little bit, but he's taken a little bit of another step since joining the Blue Jays organization. Even in Buffalo, he showed a little bit more power than he ever had earlier in his career. We saw that on that road trip you mentioned. He's a very odd player offensively because he basically never walks. We saw that today. I believe it's 5 walks in 77 games for him at this point. It's really hard to be a good offensive player if you basically never walk. It puts a lot of pressure on you to hit the ball. He has done that, generally speaking. The thing with him is that he's significantly better against left-handed pitching than he is right-handed pitching. So the longer-term prognosis is probably more of a platoon guy, extra guy, utility man, someone who fills in when other guys are injured. It's hard to envision him as this everyday starter, but the Blue Jays don't have a lot to lose. So running him out there, a guy that you could stand to learn a little bit more about, does not hurt them. And, this is part of, an Aurelvis Martinez not being available, for instance. You don't have a position to give to all of your prospects. Sometimes you got to try someone who's more of a journeyman, and Clement has given them good at-bats in recent weeks, that's for sure.
416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Russ in New Jersey. Russ, are you actually in New Jersey or are you elsewhere these days?
I'm in New Jersey. I'm not traveling for that team. Maybe next week against Baltimore.
All right.
So let me ask you a question like this. So first of all, I'm just curious. I didn't see what was the crowd today? I'm just wondering what was the attendance.
Actually, I don't know what the exact number is, but it was about 38,000.
Just over 38,000, yeah.
It's unbelievable. I don't know what people are coming for. I don't know. Maybe people don't know this, but Ty Cobb does not play on the Tigers these days to come for the opposing team. Or Cabrera's not his last year. People keep coming to the games. Shapiro's happy and the owner's happy. So I want to get to the Bo Bichette report. And
sure.
I've thought about. I've known this for forever. Not that I know Bo. But he doesn't want to play for this team. I think he's a guy. If you go back, when they fired their last manager, Bo was outspoken. He basically said, we had to do this, guys. He basically, I don't know, called certain players out, but didn't call by name, but just said there was a little bit of a, relaxed atmosphere and this and that. And I don't think he wants to be here, and I think that puts pressure on Toronto. But, guys keep calling up about the 25 season. I don't know. I don't think this team is going to be competitive in 25 either. So, I'm happy when they lose these days. And I'm a Blue Jay fan since 77, since Doug Ault and Dave McKay and Roy Howell and Louis Gomez. But the bottom line is I didn't want this guy Atkins to be 4 games out July 30th and telling me how he's still in the race. And because he knows his job is on the line if they don't make the playoffs, most people expect him to get fired. So the more the Jays lose, the more it puts him in like, you know what, you can't now I don't think we're going to get any great prospects for Danny Jansen or anybody. Maybe a little bit better for Kikuchi because he's a starting pitcher. But I would think of trading the Bassett if somebody's going to take him because I just don't think 2025 this team has what it takes to be competitive unless they do something crazy in the offseason. And I haven't looked who's free agents, but that's about it. But I just this season has just been so frustrating as a Blue Jay fan. And I travel everywhere for this team, but it's just been so frustrating to watch. So, they really need a change at the top and to start a little bit all over again. That doesn't mean getting rid of Guerrero, but I'd like to know what you think of the Bichette rumor.
Sure thing. Yeah, thanks, Russ, for the call. So, in case people actually hadn't seen this was from earlier today. So Bob Nightingale from USA Today had the report. I guess he writes a column every Sunday is how things go. So every Sunday it comes out on USA Today's website, and I think it has a variety of things about a lot of baseball news and notes, sometimes international news, sometimes a lot of domestic stuff, certainly in America. But because we're close to the deadline, it's 9 days away, he has a lot of deadline news in there. So this is what he said about the Blue Jays. They are expected to trade pitcher Yusei Kikuchi, center fielder Kevin Kiermaier, catcher Danny Jansen, DH Justin Turner. They could entertain offers for Chris Bassett and Kevin Gausman. Are they willing to go all of the way and trade Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette too? Highly unlikely. And then a little bit later on in the article, he actually went on to talk about Bo and Vladdy. This is what Russ is referencing. Toronto Blue Jays shortstop. This is verbatim from the article. Toronto Blue Jays shortstop Bo Bichette has told friends that he would welcome a trade, while first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. badly wants to stay in Toronto and is open to signing a long-term extension. So that's the report verbatim from Bob Nightingale in his USA Today column on their website. And the Vladdy stuff, not shocking, Nick, right? I think he's been pretty consistent over the years. And, I mean, I wouldn't say he's walked it back by saying it's a business and who knows what's going to happen. I think that's just like the reality, right? I feel like his agent was probably like, stop saying you won't play for the Yankees, stop crapping on other teams, like who knows what's going to happen. But I mean, I feel like even if Vladdy does eventually test free agency, he might just he seems like the kind of person, I'm just speculating, but that he'd bring that contract to the Blue Jays and say, hey, match this or beat it, and they probably would, honestly. So I'm not a lot of shocker with Vladdy, but I do think to Russ's point, it's basically the first time in print, I'll say, quote-unquote print being what it is today, but first time we've seen written down that Bo would entertain a trade. I think even you can say what you want about body language and his attitude, and now he's injured, he's on the IL with the calf strain and so on. You can say whatever you want about all those things, but I think that's the first time I've actually seen it that he would entertain playing for a team that's not the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, we don't get a lot from him in a general sense. He doesn't put his thoughts out there that much. One piece of context I do think is important is that when he was in his draft year, he really wanted to come to the Blue Jays, in part because of their willingness to work with his kind of unorthodox style and let him be him. And so the idea that there's something wrong with his relationship with the organization, I don't think is based on very much. But I do understand that he might want to go to a team that's winning more ball games than the Blue Jays are winning right now. And he's also been with this organization for quite a while, and he has not yet received a massive extension that is one that he's willing to sign. So he could also feel some level of frustration with that, because often kind of star-level players, which is what he has generally been other than this season, do end up with at least the big extension offer, even if they don't accept it, sort of by this point in their career. So there's definitely be reasons why he'd be interested in being on a different team, and I understand that this is a bit of a news thing, but at the same time, I don't think hearing this has changed anything radically, especially because the Blue Jays don't really have an avenue for trading Bo Bichette in the near future anyway, and with the injuries had this season, even trading him in the offseason might be difficult.
I'm not saying it's a slam dunk. You got to re-sign Bo. You got to keep him. You got to give him like the Xander Bogaerts contract or whatever. I'm not saying we're necessarily there, but I do think if you were to trade him now, you're effectively trading him at the basement of his value, right? Like you're trading him at the lowest possible point. It's like the complete opposite, right? You don't sell low and buy high. You try to do the opposite. And I think it's for that reason. I don't see Bo getting traded, like certainly by the deadline this year. I just feel like it's too much work, I think, for all of that to be taken into consideration. If they really have not considered it before, there's no way they're going to just change their mind now that he's on the IL, because it's basically impossible to value that or gauge what other teams think of that. But I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I could see them trying to move on from him in the offseason. Like I said before, that I think my bold prediction for next year, Nick, was that Willie Adames would be the starting shortstop of this team. And so I think that obviously that would need to have Bo get traded. I'm not sure it's necessarily going to happen, but if it were to happen, like it would happen in the offseason.
I also understand the skepticism about whether this team can compete in 2025 with largely the players they have in place. I get why fans don't feel like that's a likely outcome. At the same time, with the third wild card, we live in this era where mediocrity can kind of get you pretty close to where you need to go. And so I don't think that the team is ruling out the possibility of competing. And whether it's a couple free agent moves, whether it's a couple trades, tweaking it, I don't think that this team is, as bad, quote unquote, as they've looked so far. I realize that there's only 5 teams in the majors that came in today with a worse record than the Toronto Blue Jays, and that's part of why this season has been so frustrating to fans. But the gap between this team and, a team that is in the mix for a wild card maybe isn't as massive as it currently looks in the standings. And if you trade Bichette in the offseason, the chance of getting a similar caliber player back are very low, and your chances of then again, trying to compete for this wild card, which is not super exciting because you want to be one of those teams winning divisions, but that's sort of where the Blue Jays are at. It really, tanks that when you're getting rid of a guy who can be a well above average starting shortstop.
416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to John in Cambridge. John, what's up?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
Yesterday you were talking about Edwin Encarnacion not deserving to be on the level of excellence like Batista is. And I'd like to disagree with you on that.
Sure. What's the case for Eddie?
Well, Jose had 4 100 RBI seasons with Toronto. Edwin had 4, plus a 5th season where he had 98 RBIs in 128 games. He has a higher career OPS. He's got 80 more career home runs and almost 300 more RBIs. He also has a higher OPS in his career than Vladdy has just this year. And he has a higher OPS, a far much higher OPS, 878 as a Blue Jay, much higher than Vladdy. And Vladdy is the same guy that you say is far and away the best player on the Jays, and you want to sign to 12 years. And also, when he got traded to the Yankees, Edwin, he was leading the American League in total RBIs, I think either for 6 or 8 seasons. Like, he was a consistent run
what he did with the Yankees doesn't matter, right? It has to be.
I'm just saying at the time. Yeah. At the time he was traded, the Yankees acquired a player that led the AL in RBIs total for 6 or 8 years. And my final point about Edwin is he didn't have a big mouth. Jose, if you remember, when they got eliminated by Cleveland, I think it was 2015 or 2016, where they got shut out by a no-name rookie pitcher. Jose before the game, a day before the game, said that this pitcher should be shaking in his pants.
I do remember that.
And you remember that?
Yeah.
And I'd like to believe that maybe he wouldn't have pitched as well if Jose didn't open his big mouth and motivated this pitcher to skunk the Jays for that elimination game.
Hey,
so,
John.
yeah, I think Edwin is very deserving to be on the level of excellence.
All right, I appreciate the call, man. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Yeah, I guess you weren't with me, Nick, yesterday, Nick. So someone had texted in about how people who should be honored by the Blue Jays, now that Jose is on the level of excellence, the next people who should be honored are actually Jerry Howarth. Jerry Howarth should be honored for obviously the many, many, many years he was the Blue Jays play-by-play and certainly radio color when he was with Tom Cheek. But Jerry should be on there. I said Buck Martinez should be on there, and I think those are slam dunk choices personally. But I think the other half of that was, the other thing is, I said yesterday, and you let me know what you feel about this in vis-a-vis the conversation we had here, but I had said that no remaining player who is not already on the level of excellence really moved me all that much to say like they should get on there ahead of like Buck and Jerry, essentially, right? And so like I was trying to think of names who in theory could be on there. I said Edwin, certainly. Wasn't sure about Eddie, and I say this with love because Edwin Encarnacion, I think even more than Jose for me, is my absolute favorite Blue Jay of that era personally, but even so, like Edwin Encarnacion, Vernon Wells probably has, I think in terms of counting stats, has a lot better counting stats than Edwin than in like basically every respect. And we never talk about Vernon Wells getting on the level of excellence. Jose was like the slam dunk candidate, right? Because he had just retired a couple of years ago. I think they were really, and he kind of like hung around without playing with the team, without formally retiring for a while, and then he finally did, and they put his name up there as he so deserved. But you know, like I guess there are other, like Jimmy Key, I suppose, could get up there in theory, but it just, all the names on there have done absolutely ludicrous things for this franchise and or have won a World Series, essentially. And I think that's why it's tough for me to gauge the guys like Wells and like Encarnacion, because I was a big fan of them both. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise, but I just, if you're drawing the line on the level of excellence for like at a certain place, I feel like you probably, I don't know. I personally draw it above the two of them. I don't know if you do.
It is a very difficult thing to gauge, right? It's such a subjective thing. What is the level of excellence? There's plenty of space. So, people talk about sort of big hole, small hole for the Hall of Fame. You can be big level of excellence, small level of excellence. I think the difference between Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion is that for a couple of years there, Jose Bautista was one of the very best players in baseball in a way that Encarnacion never quite reached. Like, we're talking about him being top 4 in MVP voting multiple times, him leading the league in home runs multiple times, at a time when people weren't actually hitting that many home runs, especially compared to what happened later. And with Encarnacion, he never had an MVP finish above 11th, right? He was like very consistent. He was the middle of the lineup guy you would draw up and want on your team, and season in, season out, he did it for them. He's also on the team for less time than Bautista. So I think there's not much debate as to who is more deserving, Bautista or Encarnacion. It's Bautista. But I think you could make an argument that, sure, put Encarnacion on there as well because he was such a fantastic hitter. He had that moment for them in the wild card game, like one of the big moments in Blue Jays playoff history, especially recent playoff history. So I get it. I don't know. I'm inclined to be inclusive. I'll say, sure, why not throw him up there? But you could definitely make a case either way. And again, if you're comparing him to Bautista, I think it is totally reasonable that they went with Bautista first.
Okay, if you're comparing him to Vernon Wells, then.
See, that's interesting.
Because Vernon Wells, I was just looking it up. Vernon Wells has, actually, Edwin Encarnacion has more home runs than Vernon Wells as a Blue Jay. I think it's like 8 or 10 more home runs essentially, but Vernon Wells has essentially, and Vernon Wells also played a lot more for the Blue Jays certainly as well in terms of just length of time, but he has, hits, home runs, RBI, stolen bases, batting average, OPS, like they're all like incredible stats for Vernon Wells, and it's just, we like never, like I just mean, if Edwin Encarnacion goes up there, then I think it at least opens the discussion. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to go up there, it's just that if we're talking about the next person to go up there, I feel like the next two people who should go up there beyond Vernon Wells and Edwin Encarnacion, as much as I love them, should be Jerry and Buck, essentially, for their contributions to the team. I think that's where we are in the history of this franchise. All the greatest players, essentially, now that Jose is up there, are effectively already up there.
there's no doubt the broadcasters should go there because they're such a crucial part of the experience that fans have. Like, you talk about fans who have followed this team since 1977. Like, that person is in your living room, is in your car with you. Like, there's an intimate relationship, and the Blue Jays have been extremely fortunate to have incredibly talented broadcasters over the years. So I don't think anyone is pushing back on that. Vernon Wells is interesting. Like, he's someone who is sort of, he was a bit up and down. Like, he had some great years, he had some okay years, and I don't know how much you necessarily want to reward kind of that straight longevity, and I feel like the angle with him is more of a longevity angle. Like, he was a really good player, but not really sort of a league-wide superstar type. And then you might wind up with a player down the road who spends, 13 years with the Blue Jays. It's like, do you throw them up there?
That might be Vladdy at some point.
Could be Vladdy.
Knows, right?
And then Vladdy might have a different case in the future as someone who's come close to the MVP and things like that. Vernon Wells is someone I probably would be hesitant to, but he was a really good player, and he was here for a long time, and he did have some notable seasons, that's for sure.
I just wish there was, when they renovated the stadium, I said this a couple times, that I kind of wish they had carved out a part of the ballpark somewhere where, and I mean, you're not going to do what the Yankees did when they built the new Yankee Stadium. Like, they have Monument Park, and they have a place where you can go, and there's all sorts of ridiculous artifacts from this long storied franchise. The Dodgers have something similar. The Red Sox have something similar. It's built into the various parks, like Yankee Stadium, Fenway, Chavez Ravine, etc. So, the Blue Jays are a relatively new franchise, when you compare them to really old teams like the Yankees and so on. But I just kind of wish they had some kind of area where they were an exhibit you could kind of even if it was a really small one, you could walk through in some sense, where you could see the bat Edwin had when he hit the walk-off home run in the AL wildcard game, and you know what I mean? Stuff like that I think would be really cool, because they do deserve to be recognized. I'll say that. It's not that they shouldn't be recognized. It's just that the team only has one avenue for doing it right now. It's the level of excellence, essentially.
Yeah, even though the Blue Jays don't have a history that you can throw up against the Yankees. That's just an objective fact. As much as everyone who's listening, I'm sure, hates the Yankees and doesn't want to hear that, I do think it would be cool if there was some kind of, mini museum type thing in the ballpark. I think also a lot of Blue Jays fans came to this team through the 2015 and 2016 run. There's sort of a new generation of Blue Jays fans, and some of those guys, I think about Roy Halladay, or Carlos Delgado, players who are very central to my enjoyment of the Blue Jays growing up in Toronto. And I think a lot of this generation of fans could learn more about those players like Vernon Wells, who was a big part of a long era for the Blue Jays. Even that, the massive playoff drought era, which is going to go down as a negative in the scheme of things for the Blue Jays. You can't deny that it sucks to miss the playoffs for over 2 decades, but there were some amazing players that came through here, and I do think that as there grows to be more and more new generations of Blue Jays fans, some recognition of the past beyond kind of names on this level of excellence that don't mean that much to certain fans who just didn't engage with those players.
Let's go back to the phones. 416-870-0590, 1-888-660-590, star 590 on your cell. Let's go out east to John in Nova Scotia. John, what's up?
There is only one man who can give inspiration to the Blue Jays, and that man was almost assassinated a couple of days. That's Donald J. Trump. Hoo-ah! If they had the team they had 32 years ago, Donald Trump would take a flamethrower to this place.
Do you got a baseball take for us or no?
Well, I think that the Blue Jays are done. They don't have a positive attitude like Trump.
All right, John. Weird call, but thanks for the call, I guess.
I'm going to go on a limb and say that that's some kind of impression of Hulk Hogan at the RNC the other day.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, that's
so
good.
I think there was some level of it being topical. I want to give some credit there if that's where it was going. I'm not saying it was a good call. The content was not good, but I do want to say that was maybe less out of left field than some of the listeners might assume.
Yeah, that was weird. I actually did not draw any parallels to Hulk Hogan, but and I say this as someone who does a pretty terrible Hulk Hogan impression myself. All right. You know what? Let's go to the text line. That's really funny. 590. Name and location. I see a text here from David in Dartmouth. the Sunny Sunday Springer special that inspired his team and fans for an exciting ball game, finishing by Springer's catch, making the final out for the win. Well done from the Blue Jays. Oh, this was an interesting one we got in earlier. We'll take a break after this, Nick. This was from Mark and Thorold, and I always enjoy Mark's text. Mark's good at entertaining one of my favorite things, which is fake trades and fake lineup constructions. I love that kind of stuff, Nick, I admit. So Mark says, hey, Show, I've heard you say before you would have consideration of signing Willie Adames for next year. I agree with that. I have another name for you I think the Jays should look at next year to play left field, Canadian Tyler O'Neill. I'm actually not sure what Tyler O'Neill's contract situation is, because obviously in the offseason he was acquired from the St. Louis Cardinals and is now just hitting just dingers all the time for the Boston Red Sox, which kind of burns me. I kind of wish he was, like, if he was doing it for literally any other team that's maybe not in the AL East, I feel like it would be more palatable. But and then he came here and did it when the Red Sox were at the Rogers Center and hit like 3 home runs in that 3-game set. But he says Jays should look at Tyler O'Neill. Next year, you can build from Springer, Horwitz, Vladdy Jr., Adames, O'Neill, Bo at second base, potentially Elvis Martinez, IKF, Varsho, and a catcher. And I think and I guess the catcher would probably be Kirk, right? Because Kirk is going to be on the team for the foreseeable future, you would think, barring some kind of massive shakeup. But it's an interesting thought process for Tyler O'Neill, Willie Adames. I can't imagine it's going to cost a ton to sign Tyler O'Neill. I think it will cost you a lot of money to sign Willie Adames, just because generally, by and large, shortstops get paid a lot of money.
O'Neill's not going to be cheap, though. This is a player who is going to be entering his age 30 season, so he's relatively young for a free agent. He's having an incredible platform year with the Boston Red Sox. His career has been pretty inconsistent. He's had some very good power seasons and then some seasons that have been marred by injury, and he's been more of a kind of league average sort of hitter. When the Blue Jays look into this offseason, one of the corner outfield positions, presuming Springer will be in right, and Varsho will finally be given the reins in center that he probably should have, years ago, arguably, when he first came over. That left field spot is a really interesting one, because there was probably a time earlier this year when Davis Schneider was rolling, and you might have thought, oh, maybe that is the solution in the corner outfield. That doesn't seem to be something they can count on. He may well turn things around later in the season, but that's not a player right now that you kind of hand a spot to and forget it. So one of the positions that the Blue Jays are really going to be looking at, I think, in this offseason is that left field spot. And O'Neill is someone who gives them potentially that thump that the lineup has missed outside of Springer and outside of Vladdy in recent weeks. So I see a pretty natural fit there. I will say that often you see when there's a Canadian player, people are desperate to just put them on the Blue Jays because the Blue Jays are the only Canadian team. It's not always that simple, but I'm sure he would be embraced by the fans as a Canadian who can absolutely clobber the ball.
Before we take a break, let's get one more phone call in here. Let's go to Jay in Ithaca. Jay, what's up?
Oh, hey, guys. It was nice to revel in the exciting game and talk about George Springer, and that's a great thing. But for me right now, as a fan of the game, and I'll watch win or lose, I'll watch any baseball on TV. The season right now, it's beyond the evaluation of a singular game or a singular player's performance. It's more of a global view of this team and the franchise. And the discussions that are probably going on and should be going on are front office, executive, ownership-related decisions, because right now, in my opinion, this team is not going to be competitive next year, and it's going to be even less competitive in the next 2 years after that, or more. We are looking at, in my opinion, it's kind of like the 8th or 9th year of Shapiro's presidency. It's kind of like an 8 or a 9-year-old car. Do I put in the money and try and fix it and get a few more years out of it, or is it time to just sell the car and get something new? And in my opinion, the team at the major league and minor league levels is so flawed in so many areas that it's just time to honestly clean house from a managerial point of view, coaching point of view, executive point of view. And I'm ready to take the pain, because I'm not really excited about maybe battling to be 4th place in the AL East for 3, 4, or 5 years with the Yankees and the Orioles going to be so strong. And not have any postseason success. Let's just take the pain, do what the Orioles did a few years ago. I'm happy to live in the cellar. but I don't have confidence in the current regime to draft and develop. So anyway, it's a little bit of the negative take, unfortunately, although we love the game. That's where I see this going. And I don't think we should be talking about competitive baseball in Toronto possibly until the late 2020s, early 2030s at this point. I hope I'm wrong.
Hey, Jay, thanks for the call. I'll say this. I actually wholeheartedly disagree with Jay, not in the sense that you shouldn't get a new management. I do agree with that, actually. So maybe I shouldn't say wholeheartedly. But so a couple things there. It's not when you have an ownership that has given you the payroll that you have now, which is like frankly an absurd amount of money. It's like $230 million. If that money is being directed towards appropriate areas, then I'm not saying it's not hard work, but if you have different management, and I think that is where it starts for me personally. I do think it's we're not talking about like 2029 for this team to be competitive. I think it is easier than you think to have a team come up if it will require trades and it will require free agent signings. And again, I think I agree with the caller Jay in that you can't have the current regime do that. But I mean, there's no way that you can do what the Orioles did. Like I'll say this, Nick. No team can do what the Orioles did anymore. The way teams have now been essentially disincentivized from tanking because of Major League Baseball, and you get a top 10 pick one year, you can't get a top 10 pick the next year. Just the way it has changed, and the lead time on draft prospects being what it is in baseball versus like the NFL or the NBA. The NHL is a little similar, I suppose, right? Because most guys you draft in the NHL top 10 or whatever are probably not going to play for those franchises in that given year. Like Macklin Celebrini, probably going to play for the Sharks this year, right? The rest of the top those guys 2 through 10, probably most of them are not going to play for their teams this season, even if they go on to become very good NHLers. So I think that those two sports are kind of similar. I just don't really think teams can do what the Astros did in the 2010s, 2010s. I don't think teams can do what the Orioles did in pretty recently. And frankly, I think the jury's still out on the Orioles. They have to actually win a World Series for that, I think, in my opinion, to be considered successful. And the Astros did. So I don't know. I'm not sure blowing it up and tearing it down to the studs is really ever going to happen, because Major League Baseball has essentially made it so that if you do that, you're not guaranteed to be good, essentially. And for every rebuild that exists like the Astros and Orioles, there's like 8 others that also exist that still haven't gone anywhere. Look at the Tigers. Tigers were here today. Tigers have been rebuilding for ages. Like the Royals only got a whole bunch of false starts on their rebuilds, and they only got started because they now have some guy named Bobby Witt Jr., essentially, right? Like your rebuilds are not guaranteed, which is why I think it's not going to happen.
Yeah, bottoming out is no guarantee of success, and also getting those high draft picks in baseball, as you say, those players don't play for you right away. I think it's a little bit more volatile than some other sports.
And now there's a lottery.
Yeah, like the NBA, for instance. Okay, you got Victor Wembanyama. Now your franchise is in a totally different place. The impact of 1 or 2 players in baseball is just not quite the same there. There are some good players remaining on the Toronto Blue Jays, even if it doesn't feel that way. And I do think that kind of building around those guys and, supplementing with trades and free agents is going to be the way it's done. And then, maybe 2027, you are looking at sort of 2026, a relatively clean slate, because a lot of guys are coming off the books. But as you say, Sho, if the investment continues to be there from ownership, there's going to be the ability to backfill those with competent players, whether that's through free agency or trade. So as long as the payroll commitment remains relatively high, there is a way to maneuver this thing around that's not necessarily going to take 5 years, 6 years. It's not guaranteed to succeed either. It could totally crash and burn. We could be in for a terrible year of Toronto Blue Jays baseball. That does not feel like as much of a foregone conclusion as some of the more pessimistic fans are feeling right now.
And I'm not saying you can go out there and easily compete with teams like the Yankees and Red Sox that often feel like they have like bottomless pits of money to send at anyone you want. But I mean, again, I think it's certainly a big if, in the sense that if ownership does continue to commit this kind of money to payroll, then you will be able to allocate resources more effectively if you had someone different at the wheel. But I mean, but certainly if they turn into like the Pirates or something and they decide, hey, we're not spending this amount of money on the team anymore, then then Jay will be right. Like Jay, you will experience pain and have tough years and triple digit loss seasons. But I just really think that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like I think in my view, I feel like it's a generally accepted from all major sports that if your team is good, butts will be in seats, and therefore you will make more money, right? Like, I just feel like that's like the easiest way to make even more dollars, make it more bang for your buck on what you've already invested. I think that's probably why again, speculation on my part, but why you probably won't see some kind of drastic decrease in Jay's payroll next year. Doesn't mean they're not. It doesn't mean they're going to be immediately competitive again in 2025. But I think there are enough blocks here that you can reasonably, with money spent more appropriately, because I've been pretty critical of like the Justin Turner signing or the Kevin Kiermaier signing or the IKF signing even, and hand up, he's been pretty good, right? But if you'd allocated money a little bit better, maybe Teoscar Hernandez is still playing for the Blue Jays as a free agent, right? After signing with the Dodgers instead of re-signing with the Mariners, or allegedly he had a big time offer from the Red Sox, which, oh boy, imagine him playing with the Red Sox. That wouldn't look great for a lot of reasons. So I think there's better ways to allocate those resources, and I personally think that does start with a different GM. And I'm not trying to pick on Atkins, but it's just, we've seen other franchises in many other sports can guys with less regular season success over fewer years, essentially. So I think it's for that reason. I think that's where it has to start. But if it doesn't start there, then things has to have the potential to cascade a little bit.
I understand the pessimism. Like, right now, we are looking at the 25th ranked team in baseball by record, and fans are hearing, and I'm not going to claim to be the greatest expert on the Blue Jays farm system, because I think a lot of people like to make claims and look at prospect lists, and there's so much that goes into that. But the industry perception is that this is not a great farm system either. So you're not looking forward to the present, and you're not looking forward to the future. That can put you in a dark space, but there are definitely teams that come out of those relatively dark spaces in, a shorter 2-3 year turnaround. Like, it's not like, I think of a team like the Philadelphia Phillies, for instance, after they had won their World Series and they had their aging roster that they had signed forever, and they were just sitting in this decline phase, and they had no prospects because they traded them all away, and they were just stuck with these declining players like the Ryan Howards and Jimmy Rollins of the world. And that's not where the Blue Jays are. Like, the Blue Jays are going to have flexibility, because either these guys are going to come off the books relatively quickly, or they're going to re-sign them, and then that'll give the Blue Jays something to build around. They're either going to have flexibility or they're going to have building blocks. Again, I don't think they're one of the best positioned franchises in baseball, but they're not, doomed to a horrible fate. Even that fate may befall them, but it's not a foregone conclusion.
I think that's where I fall too. Like, it's not like it can't happen, because in theory it could happen to every team in Major League Baseball. But I agree with you. I don't think it's something that's like written in the stars necessarily. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, go back to the text line, back to the phones, and certainly hear a little bit from John Schneider, Kevin Gausman, and George Springer as well. Those guys all speaking to the media a couple of minutes ago. You're listening to Jays Talk. Still a couple minutes left here on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
We're two men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think two men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're two men and a truck.
Two men and a truck, the movers who care.
Lumos. Witches, wizards, and muggles come down to the core as Roger Center transforms into Hogwarts. Harry Potter-themed entertainment and activities around the ballpark.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Magic moments create core memories. So fly down to Roger Center on Friday, August 9th, and get one of 4 Blue Jays Harry Potter Hogwarts House Raglan shirts. Harry Potter Night. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
Sportsnet Plus is the streaming home of the Blue Jays.
Fastball line to left, and it's caught.
Watch live games at home or on the go.
Long run, Springer! Oh, what a play!
Plus, catch Blue Jays Central for pre- and post-game updates with Jamie and Joe. Miss the game? Replays and Blue Jays in 30 are here for your recap.
Pitching has certainly led the way.
Watch it all unfold on Sportsnet Plus. Plans start at $19.99 a month. Subscribe now at sportsnetplus.ca.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's Building Center. Visit timbermart.ca.
For this life I cannot change. Hitting hills, deep off in the main.
This is George Springer, and you're listening to Toronto Blue Jays baseball on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Speaking to the media maybe about half an hour ago, talking about what he wants to see from the team going down the stretch. I actually think that's the first time, Nick, I've heard George, or really any of the players, really talk about the future as in next year and not the rest of the season, which I find really interesting. But I mean the players know it, right? I mean, and Springer maybe in particular knows it because he knows he's going to be on the team for at least 2 more seasons, more than likely, at the very least next year. So I thought that was interesting stuff from Springer, who speaks to the media after a 5-4 Blue Jays win to wrap up the series here at the Rogers Center.
Yeah, I think it's so easy for a player to say, we don't look at the standings, we're going to keep fighting, you never know, people have come from crazy or distance behind, yada, yada, yada. And then you reach a certain point where if you start saying that, you just kind of sound silly, and it sounds like you're not in touch with reality. And I think maybe we've crossed that threshold now where the Blue Jays are so clearly out of it that to pretend that they're still in some kind of fight would just seem absurd. And so he's being relatively blunt. We are laying the groundwork for next season. As you said, he's going to be on the team next season and presumably a season after that as well. And so they're, whether it's young players like Spencer Horwitz or Leo Jimenez, player guy, whether it's the relievers, a bunch of relievers are sort of fighting for consideration for next year. There's a lot of guys who over the next couple of months will have plenty of reason to be motivated to play as well as they possibly can, even if it doesn't necessarily translate into wins and losses. I think Springer reasonably wants to see his teammates fight, and I'm sure that's what they'll do.
That is Nick Ashbourne. I'm Show Ali. You're listening to Jays Talk here on the Sportsnet Radio Network. We're here for another 10 minutes or so. Still some time to shoot us a text, 590-590, name and location. You mentioned the relievers. We haven't talked about the pitching a lot today in this game. And I guess we kind of went pretty macro instead of micro when it comes to the discussion, Nick, of what went on here at the Rogers Center today. But I did want to talk a little bit about Kevin Gausman and maybe Genesis Cabrera with you. So Gausman, 6 2/3, 5 hits, 4 runs, all of which were earned, 3 walks, 5 Ks, 97 pitches, 58 of them were strikes. And we were talking pregame on the pregame show about what to expect from Gausman. We were chatting about the splitter, the fastball, as we usually do. I thought it was interesting. The Tigers are a top 10 team in baseball in terms of offensive production against off-speed pitches. And he was pretty careful, I would say, for the most part with the splitter today, but he just ran into trouble. In the top of the 5th inning, it was a 4-seamer middle in to Justin Henry Malloy, a rookie, by the way, who just jacks that for a grand slam. He had walked 2 consecutive batters before Malloy hits the grand salami. It's just tough because he walked both of those guys with 2 outs. So you'd regularly expect Gausman, of all people, right? You'd expect Gausman to be able to handle a single batter effectively with 2 outs, walks 2 guys, gives it the home run to Malloy, and he just lost command of the zone enough for it to bite the Jays. I did think it was that the Jays bats got him off the hook was obviously a positive, but that he also bounced back for innings, I guess 6 and 2 outs of the 7 because he finished with 6 2/3. I thought it was a nice job, not only from the Jays offense, but even just from himself to bounce back after he got kind of re-staked to a lead in this game.
It's always difficult to evaluate an outing where one crucial play really makes a difference, right? Like that Grand Slam, it's pretty hard to have a good outing when you give up a Grand Slam. Like, that's just the reality of it. And so you can't come away from this saying, oh, that was a great start by Kevin Gausman, because it wasn't. He gave up too many runs for how many innings he pitched. Like, that's kind of the bottom line of it. The walks were also troubling. Like, this is his 20th start of the season. It's only the 4th time he's walked 3 or more guys. Like, when he's on his game, he's attacking the strike zone effectively. He didn't get a ton of strikeouts, as you mentioned. He only got 7 swing and misses all day. It just felt like the velocity was there, but he was just a little bit off with command for basically the whole day, and it kind of feels appropriate that it would be him making a mistake with command that would cause this. But as you mentioned, he does deserve credit for being efficient with his pitches, getting deep into the game, and bouncing back from making that big mistake. And, to use the classic cliche, like, he gave them a chance to win. Was his best outing? No, but he kept his team in the game, even if he did give up that lead. And it's not, it's not vintage Gausman by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't a disaster of an outing either.
Well, after Gausman, too, and again, I think you're right. I think it was not a right game, I think. But if he had not come back out after the Grand Slam and then they had to burn through the bullpen, even with the day off tomorrow, I'm not sure I would be as positive about it. But I think there was enough there that I liked. The efficiency on the pitches. He did give up some really hard, loud contact, like especially early in the game, but he kind of got through it pretty efficiently. So I think on the whole, maybe kind of a wash of a start, all things considered. But after Gausman, you get 6 2/3 from him. Cabrera comes out, and you get 2 pitches from Cabrera to end the inning, and then they send him back out for the 8th to take on the Tigers' 2-3-4 batters, and A.J. Hinch sends out Andy Ibanez to prevent that left-on-left matchup. I thought Cabrera staying out there, both against, like, in that situation, even in a matchup that's not great for him, because Ibanez hits left-handed pitching pretty well, but I thought that they sent out Cabrera to face 2-3-4 in the opposing team's order says something about where Cabrera is in the, I like to say this, the circle of trust when it comes to the bullpen. I mean, right now it feels like the circle of trust is only Chad Green and this is Cabrera. Like, I am willing to put Jimmy Garcia back in there. I just want to see him pitch a couple more times in like relatively higher leverage than he did the other day. But if he's as good as he was before, he's going to be right there in the middle of the circle of trust. He's like, temporarily on the outside because of the injury. But Cabrera, I thought, he got hosed a bit on some calls, but generally speaking, I liked what I saw from him.
He's been quietly becoming more effective over the last few weeks. Like, he's given up 1 earned run since June 9th. That's 15 innings. Not all of his outings are an inning. Some of them are less than that, as we saw today, as someone who's a left-hander and gets some of that little specialty work. But he's striking out a few more hitters. The command is, honestly, I don't even think it's ever going to be good. It kind of is what it is, but the stuff is compelling from the left side. He was a crafty pickup by them when they got him, because they got him at a bit of a low ebb, but he's always been a guy with a live arm and some interesting pitches in his repertoire. And is he a star-level reliever? Absolutely not. Like, I think he's kind of a middle reliever. He's probably someone you'd prefer to be your second lefty option, to be honest. But in terms of where this bullpen is, he is one of the more trustworthy guys, because there's Chad Green who's there. There's Garcia, as you mentioned, as long as he can prove these sort of back. And the other guy that had been there for most of the season was Trevor Richards.
Sure, yeah.
And he has kind of fallen off a cliff the last little bit, which has been unfortunate for the Blue Jays, because he was someone they might have seen as at least sort of a minor level trade chip, and that may not really come to fruition anymore. But Cabrera is putting together a quietly decent season for himself, even though it's not always pretty when the command gets out of hand about.
Yeah, he's pretty wild, right? Like, he's a pretty wild guy in terms of, like, sometimes the pitches he loses command a little bit, but he has some, like, the pitches he does throw has some life. Like, they have some real life. They move around out there. He can throw some real gas too. There was a 97-mile-an-hour fastball in there at one point. So I do think he is in the circle of trust for me. And yeah, I said this yesterday, but Trevor Richards, he's out of there. He's out of the circle of trust. I feel bad for saying it, because I have been a Trevor Richards defender by and large over the course of my time here. But yeah, it's tough to defend the guy after he's had a pretty good year up until the beginning of July. And in July, he has been literally one of the worst pitchers in baseball. Like, starter, reliever, whatever. It's like an ERA of near 10, essentially, over many appearances over the month of July. And that did not get any better after yesterday. And then obviously doesn't count the Grand Slam he gave up to Jake Rogers, because a lot of those runs get charged to Yusei, right? So I'm not putting Richards in the circle of trust. I want to read you a couple of texts before we go, Nick, here on the People's Text line, 590-590, name and location. Cheryl in Toronto, I've been to 15 other ballparks. All have history sections. Even Arizona, with only one World Series and a much newer team. I actually didn't know that. I've never been to Chase Field. So, that's the thing. Like, even if and Tom Young had the good idea, even if it was outside the ballpark, you could do this too, which would be pretty cool. I mean, there's like an old defunct railroad track thing, a circle track just on the other side. Maybe Rogers can buy the rec room, put the Hall of Fame thing there. That'd be kind of cool, right? I see text from Jason in southern Alberta. A statue out front of Rogers Centre commemorating the walk-off home run that Edwin hit is more than suitable. That'd be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool. And again, maybe they're not historical enough to do this when you compare them to the Leafs, because the Leafs have also been around for a bazillion years. But the Leafs have Legends Row, like outside Scotiabank Arena. If there was something like that here, that'd be kind of neat, I think. Like, you could have big-time moments like, you could have like a statue of like Roy Halladay and Carlos Delgado and Jose and Edwin, and you know what I mean? Like, you could have stuff like that, I think, and that can be added to over time, which would be kind of cool.
There was a time when this franchise's success was so wrapped up in those 2 World Series titles, and then they had that massive postseason drought, that it might have felt kind of odd to do something like that, because like, oh, we're really just like fixating on these 2 runs here. Right. But because they had that second act in 2015, 2016, I think that now there's enough balance that you could have and some memorable moments in the 80s as well, that you would be able to do it in a way that didn't feel like, the only things that have happened for this franchise were 20 plus years ago, or it's only this little group of the history that we're going to focus on, because again they had that next act that brought in a new generation of fan that thinks that you could spread it out enough to make the history aspect compelling.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, you could use that maybe as an opportunity to teach some younger fans about like what Pat Henkin did and what Dave Stieb did and what like the Terminator Tom Henke did. Like, you could, because I'm sure there are fans who are younger who, like you said, became fans in 2015, 2016 who don't know a lot about those guys. So I think that would be pretty cool. Before we go, this one's from, actually there's no name in this one, but it just says, we badly need a Vladdy and Teoscar reunion. Teoscar is the perfect backup for Vladdy at number 4 in the lineup. Teoscar has lined himself up for a pretty big payday, Nick. But I do think that would be a fun view for everyone here if he does return next year.
Well, as I mentioned, left field is potentially wide open in 2025, and he's someone who would fit in nicely.
You always fit in great with me. It's fun to have you back, Nick. I'm glad to see you.
Thank you. I'll be back with you again next weekend.
There he goes. That's Nick Ashbourne. I'm Show Ali. Appreciate you being with us on Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Allison and Bolton. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. For Nick, for Ben Schulman, for Ben Nicholson-Smith, Tom Young, Andrew Adams, Nick Blackmore, I'm Show Ali. That does it for us. We are out of here. Enjoy the off day, everyone. Blair and Barker are back as usual through Friday. As Nick said, he and I are back next weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll talk to you later.
This has been Major League Baseball play-by-play on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app.
Why do I love calling this game?
Calling this game?
Calling this game?
Calling this game?
Why do I love calling this game? It's because I get a chance to bring some joy into people's lives.
Anything can happen on a baseball field.
We've got a new game! It's perfectly unscripted theater.
Everybody on their feet! Because you never know what you're going to see on a given day.
It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top!
There's just something about baseball on the radio.
Something about the way wood hits leather. A swing and a drive to deep left center!
The way leather hits dirt.
And he made the play! Oh my!
The way a deep fly ball sounds like it's about to change history.
High fly ball to center field. It's hit pretty well toward the wall.
Until the cleats hit the grass, hit the crushed brick, and then nothing but sky and a silent crowd.
That ball's high.
Until leather hits leather and 40,000 fans lose their collective minds.
In a perfect symphony of chaos.
He jumped up on top of the wall, balanced himself, and caught it.
The way nothing triumphs a perfectly honest call.
I don't believe what I just saw. And the way the right voice can make a moment live forever. Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Outsiders may think this is just 2 teams.
The ball, a bat, and a microphone. But no.
For over 100 years, this has been the soundtrack of the American pastime.
He struck it out looking. It's over. It's over. The Rangers have won the World Series.
The soundtrack of summer.
This is Major League Baseball on the radio. Right now on Sirius XM.
All rise.
Coming in 5.
Get ready to play.
4.
Get up! Get up!
3.
Can you believe it? Put your seatbelt on.
Wow. Talk about the game and all the stories on MLB Network Radio, Sirius XM 89, and the Sirius XM app.
NFL Radio Channel 88 brings you expert analysis from former players, coaches, and executives, plus reaction to all the latest news on the only 24/7 station dedicated to the National Football League.
Former manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, Chicago Cubs, and Los Angeles Angels, Joe Madden stopped by MLB Network Radio on Sirius XM Channel 89 to discuss the possibility of him managing a team again.
Would I like to manage again? I'd say I would, yes, but it really has to be like threading the needle. I don't know where that owner is or where that GM is in today's world game that really would want my sensibilities, my methods, possibly. If they do, I'm in. They'd get 1,000% of me as always, but I don't know. I don't know if that exists. We'll see how the year plays out this year as we move it forward. It's such a groupthink industry right now. It's just a matter of what becomes popular and what wins. Now, you talk about Boch winning last year, and you can talk about the success of Dusty and how that speaks to guys over 50 managing in the big league. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I'm here, and you know, we talked earlier. I did have surgery. I had a horrible sciatic problem. So now I'm jump out of bed. I'm hitting the ground running. Last year I couldn't have really done it. I was hurting that badly. So right now, really workouts have been great. I feel physically better, which then permits you to feel mentally better. So I'm ready again.
Follow every second of the action on NHL Network Radio. From behind the bench to every play on the ice. If it's hockey, it's on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91.